love the music, they love the swag, they love the life, and they kill our ass. They love the drip, they love the lingo, they love the hate, and they gun us down. We love to live, we love to give, we fight for this, and they still get mad. We started late, cost twice the stakes, all the fears we face, and we still get bagged. They love the music, they love the swag, they love the life, and they kill our ass. They love the drip, they love the lingo, they love the hate, and they gun us down. We love to live, we love to give, we fight for this.
All right. Man, listen, we are back for another episode of the Dinner Club podcast, but I told you we're going to have a little twist going on, and this is the Den Show on the Dinner Club podcast. The team is reunited. This is where it actually all started before we got in the podcast and all that other stuff. We started at a whole different radio station before we even got all the way out in the Brockton at that point, you know what I'm saying? So, like, super duper blessed to have Ninah Lour in the building and my man Thorn back in the building. What's going on, team?
What's up? I'm so excited.
So listen, like Thorn, man, like I'll start with you real quick. Like, what's been going on, man? What you been up to? We're gonna get in some heavy topics today. We're trying to bring some reconciliation to the people, but other than that, man, like, what you been up to, man? What's going on? How you dealing with the pandemic?
Well, I am an essential worker. I'm not gonna put my job field out there, but I am essential. Been doing heavy on the music, as you guys know. You've had me on Third Eye several times during the pandemic. Just finished an album. Got Poetic It Out.
Okay.
No glare. I do have one more copy available for pre-order. Goes for $10. After that, it's going to be available on all streaming services June 5th, willing that all the streaming services cooperate. But besides that, just got Royce, my son, got him all week now. So that's been fun. He's teaching me more about me than anything. But I am getting sick of the house, though. So I am happy I'm essential because it gives me a reason to get out. But getting out to do essential work isn't the same as getting out to do fun stuff. So
yeah, I feel you. I mean, I dig it, man. Like, listen, like, if people who notice, they've been watching. I've been doing it from the home studio for a while, always doing the shows from there. I had to get out and spread my legs too, so I'm at the gallery, just hanging tight, man, today. Down at 246 Union Street, New Bedford, the communal gallery space that we got to let people know that we belong in the downtown district of New Bedford as well. Everybody does. Ninah, man, Ninah, what you been up to, girl? Like, what you been up to? I know you got the 60 Minutes Lore going on, man. I know you're gonna be doing that later on tonight. So if you guys, once you're done here, you definitely want to go over to Ninah's page and check that out. She'll be on at 9:15 doing her 1-2 every Friday. She's been holding it down, man. And I just think it's super dope because, like, even when we weren't all together, like, everybody still kept a lot of the components that we had together. But other than that, like, what you been up to, man? I know you got a lot of new stuff going on.
Yeah, I got too much going on. But I'm just basically trying to get through this pandemic like everybody else. Trying to stay safe, clear away from COVID. I am what's considered an essential worker as well. But can you guys hear me fine?
Absolutely.
Okay. But I work remotely, so I don't have to, I don't have to really be out there. So I'm pretty much from home to my mom's house, which is my second home. And every now and again, I go check on my grandson. But I'm just ready to get back into the flow of things and get my life back, at least a little bit of it back. How's that for you? How's that journey been for you, Nana life? How's that been for you?
Grandma
life. It's been fun, It hasn't been what I really want it to be because of all that's going on. I'm like afraid to go near him because I don't want, it would kill me if, anything happened to that little baby. So I keep my distance. I go see him like once a week, but I'm on FaceTime heavy with him and,
with the infants and the children too, it has that aftershock it can get into where I think it's your nervous system gets inflamed or something like that, and that's just bananas.
Yeah, they have that new sickness that's going on with the infants. And
it's like a follow-up. Like, you get COVID and then you get through it and then that shows up. Mm-hmm. Insane. And it's primarily in children.
Yeah, what's interesting is I believe it's called Kawasaki. We've been reading about it a lot as well, and like a lot of people don't understand. Like, wait, hold on, let me see. Samia chimed in. Ninah's too fine to be a nana. We out here.
I am. I'm trying to live this grandma life. I'm like so stuck. I don't know what I want the baby to call me. I'm like, do I be called a grandma? Do I get called Nana? I don't know. But I'm just, he's so adorable. I'm gonna let him decide.
You gotta do what our mom did. She has Nyla calling her Glamma with an L, Glamma.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Glamorous.
Yes, glammed up, right? Yes. Okay, I'll take
Shout
that.
out my man Lacar. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. I didn't know y'all had a connection. My man Lacar's a super beast, man. If you guys don't know, go check out all his work, man. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in and supporting. By all means, if anybody wants to chime in at any time, jump in on any topics, you can hit us up, inbox us. You can inbox my personal page or the Dinner Club podcast page. I'm monitoring both. We'll be happy to let you come on in. All we ask is that you have a quiet place to do so and you have a great connection. And then you can come vibe with us, man. And we can all talk about these dynamics because the podcast, especially the Den show, you know, is really, that was always about the people. So, you know what I mean? So, like, that's why I'm glad that we're back to the roots. And I like having the trio dynamic that we have. Like, we always had a great vibe. So,
how long ago was the Den? What, 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yes, it was a while ago. That's crazy.
Yeah. Nina sounds like Nana, so just roll with that.
Yeah, I'm for it, Nina.
So one of my super duper dope guests, I'm honored to have on the show tonight. We're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna bring my man Fitz into the building. Man, Fitz is a pioneer in the area, a super visual artist, an OG. I consider somebody that's an OG in the area that I can confide in and talk to about all the stuff that's going on out here. And I definitely want his take on it. He's working on a few things as well. He just was in the South Coast today for his super dope graphic novel called New Deptford that just came out. So I'm gonna bring my man Fitz on right now. Fitz, my man, what's popping?
How y'all happy people doing?
Great.
One day at a time. You know how it is. One day at a time.
Absolutely.
Just taking it easy. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to make the best of what we can. I don't want to get too heavy yet. You know, I was catching up. So like 4 years ago, me, Nina, and Thorn had a show together. We actually started out on the radio together at this thing out here called LIT Radio at the time.
I met you around there.
Exactly, yeah, and we was on the Den radio show at the time, and then we had the show move over to a radio station that we had in Brockton. You know, no shade to anybody, but the building got condemned, so we had to move out of there, all of that good stuff. But everybody kept up what they were doing, so now this is kind of reunion. So you're welcome to the reunion.
All right.
Together. Before we get into anything too heavy or anything like that, because this show's about. We are going to acknowledge the seriousness of what's going on, but I'm also a progress-focused, solution-oriented individual. So I'm trying to make sure that we can talk about what's going on, but also talk about how we can find some reconciliation during these times without being caught up too emotionally, because it's a balance between our emotions and us handling those so we can logically get to the point of where we need to get to as a country. But before we get into that, I want to talk about all the stuff you got going on, man. I saw the article in South Coast today. Shout out to you, bro. How's that journey going, man? I know you got the prologue out. I see it's up on Amazon. If you get a chance, everybody go check that out.
Right on.
We can share it up there for you as well. But how's that going for you? Like, how's everything going with New Deptford?
Well, I kind of took a little pause on New Deptford. Just I felt it was kind of in good taste since, like, the story is about a virus that affects everything and kills off only 12% of the population is left. And so there's a lot of stuff that it definitely mirrors with what's going on today. There was, in my story, people are wearing masks. They already stay 6 to 8 feet apart.
Yep.
Quarantine. All of this stuff is in there. So I felt like I don't feel like wiggling in people's face and then having them get gobbled up by zombies too. Because there's a very serious tone to it. It's not like it's a campy anything. I'm using real residents and everything in it. So I want it to be real and gritty. And then all of this stuff kind of popped off and real people are dying. So for now, I'm taking a little break, probably around July. I'll start something, but more with the outreach program with the kids and stuff like that. But still New Deptford themed with having them do creative writing because I'm trying to work it out with some local artists and Third Eye, of course. Since we're all partnered up, they're going to help me put that thing on with our sister school.
Yes.
So that's like a break right there because nobody really knows that. But I had to deal with our sister school and everything. And so now we're going to be hashing out details and getting everything virtual since that's the way everything seems to be going.
So this household owns a copy of New Bedford.
Oh,
Mhm, mhm.
yes, that's
Yo,
right. That's
yes,
right.
we do.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Thank you, man. I appreciate the
beautiful,
support.
beautiful art. Amazing
Right on.
art.
Right on.
And I mean, story-wise too, Brittany read it. I haven't dove in too far yet.
Okay.
I mean, hey, the feel of it. The
She
feel
gave me
is
some
great.
good feedback too. She gave me some great feedback, which is good. I'm always open to anything that, you know, folks have to say, especially when it's polishing it up a little bit. I'm new at the game. This is my first graphic novel, you know. I've done art and all this other stuff before, but this is my major push into doing everything and then involving the community in it too. So just about everybody's invited.
That's what's really dope. You see areas that you walk by.
Yeah.
In the graphic novel, you know, you see that.
Yeah.
It's dope, man. Keep it going.
I appreciate it, man.
Yep, we got ours, so you know what time it is. You know, we're always gonna support.
Oh well, you guys are gonna be in it, so you know.
Come on, man. Come on. Listen, so like
it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be
even though I know you're taking a break, I also think this is a great time for it to give you more stuff that we probably, because you know the zombie apocalypse has always appealed to me when it comes to things like that, because it does kind of, even though you want to take a break because it's real lives being lost, I thought shows like The Walking Dead and stuff like that in New Bedford are actually what encompasses like what we are suffering from a virus. You know, beyond COVID, beyond being black and white and every other color in the spectrum, we're suffering from a virus of humanity. You know what I'm saying? So I think that your graphic novel is like super palpable in the time. And especially I think that your graphic novel, especially in the South Coast area, this far on the South Coast, has the ability to bring light to a lot of things that we don't live in an area that's abruptly overt racism. But we do have a lot of unconscious bias in the area. It's not
how free can we speak on here?
Very. It's totally 110%. Let's get it right.
I wouldn't necessarily say no blatant. I mean, you know, I got called nigga on the street.
No, absolutely.
Long ago, so
yes, you did.
That's a real thing. That it wasn't like
yes. You know, they stole my flag off the business, brother. Like, you know.
Yeah, hey, another dude, Cam, they called him nigga out in the street too. You walking out there alone, you know, folks feel brave. So,
but we also live in a space where a lot of us, we have to be more vocal about it, but we also have to be more active about it too. And that's what this is kind of like a step 1, 2. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting the awareness out there. But I don't want people getting themselves harmed at the same time. But I'm at a conundrum with life because when I was younger, I always gravitated to Malcolm more. And I guess maybe that was my youthfulness and thinking like, I'm just going to kick everybody's ass. Let's get it over with. As I'm getting older, I understand Malcolm more. I understand Angela Davis more. I understand James Baldwin more. But the problem that's happening here is that I'm still stuck in a paradox, because even if it's history and history's filled with lies or whatever, there are some truths in there. And the truths is that no one got anything asking for it. I can't find a history lesson where somebody got something by just basically asking people to stop treating them some kind of way. So I'm kind of worried about where we're headed. And if it's going to take us to go that far, I want to get the room's feel on that, like where we're headed. And do you think it's going to take, you know, real sacrifice, like sacrifice people? You know, I understand people sacrifice the time to go march. I understand people sacrifice the time to go protest, but I'm talking about, we fought a civil war here. You know what I'm saying? I don't want us to go that far, please. I pray that we don't, but I'm worried that if we keep getting ignored in this manner.
When you say we fought a civil war, who fought that civil war you talking about?
Black people fought that civil war. What you talking about?
We built the nation, and then a war popped off that we weren't really fighting in.
Yes.
And then they needed some more soldiers, and they got us in there.
That's why we talk about the 54th so much out here, right?
It wasn't even so equal. Like, you know, Harriet Tubman was a part of the army.
Yes.
Do you know that they held a part of her pension? She was a spy for them too. They were like, no, and the government totally didn't give her any kind of credit when she was. That's how they won. That's how we know Harriet Tubman. Civil War would probably, it would still be not what it was, but she was able to navigate them down through the South, back and forth with no problem. She was already freeing slaves. She knew all the routes. She had them all down. So it was what it was. But even with all that service, and it's documented, she didn't get her pension. She had to beg them for pennies that they ended up giving her on what they owed her. So
see, this is why we have Brother Fitz here. Because another thing that happens too is that I be on this platform and it be me talking a lot. I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning this with the people. That's why I want more people to come on and talk about stuff, because I never knew that part, that she didn't get her pension. I knew she had some involvement, but I never knew that part. I should have known.
Well, known. How many people you think she killed?
I have no idea.
They won't tell you that. Why? Because they never caught her.
Same reason that they don't celebrate Nat Turner.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If they caught Harriet, right, we'd know exactly how many white folks she killed. Guaranteed. But now that she got affiliated with them, she helped them win a war. She was like a general in the war. So since she did all that and they still pulled it back, it's kind of like, what do you do? Because now, but I think the difference between now and then is we have allies. So back then we kind of jumped in the war because we thought the country was gonna, like, I don't know, give us those reparations and shit. Away. But that shit didn't happen because we didn't really have any allies, right? Now, because of somewhat of the integration, times changes, technology, the world is smaller now. We have allies. There's a lot of mixing with cultures and folks left and right. So now these little brown, beige babies are changing some hearts. And I've seen it happen. I knew some people who were kind of on the fence. That grandchild, you know, their kid got hooked up with somebody, and then now they got this little baby that they're like, oh, well, damn, I love you. And it changes something. So we have allies now. And I think that's the key, is activating our allies. Because right now we can't do it alone. And because so it wasn't necessarily, it's not, we didn't create it, right?
Yes.
So if I didn't build this car, but I can kind of drive it, somebody has to help me maintain the shit. I can't do it alone, right? So right now, what I'm liking that I'm seeing for the first time in my life now, I loosely follow a lot of shit, but I saw 2 white people with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. And I was impressed. Because you always see a brother with it, sister with it, right? But that's what you expect. That's what we're supposed to do. But when somebody else that looks like someone who's, well, we call
Thorn pointed at himself.
Those types, right? When they go on and now somebody like them says it, it has power. And they can be saying the same exact thing we are. As a matter of fact, I prefer if we have the same message, because it now sounds, they can hear it way better than me, that I've been profiled since cops really hooked us up being profiled. But even before then, we were getting profiled. So I just look like an angry black dude right now. That's all they hear. So that's all that person can, because they can't get past it, right? Because there's a change they don't want to make. But then now you kind of got to make changes. You kind of got, if we're gonna progress that, we got to figure out how to work with our allies. And this is where it's uncomfortable, because now you're holding hands with somebody who used to hate you. I have a friend. He's told me, and this is when I was in my 20s. He was like, man, I was racist before I met you. You changed my mind. Like, imagine that. So, and we hung out. We were cool. He was 16, and he used to get his ass beat here and there. And, you know, shit would go down. It's not like he was in a black neighborhood either, but with his family and everything, he had those beliefs. And then he got a friend, and me and him were cool. We used to hang out, do drugs. And that, you know, it changed you. And it changed, you know, and I had my feelings towards white folks, and he helped with that. Hey man, I used to be homophobic as hell. Until it was a problem. Like, and I realized that's not that thing in you. This isn't right. And so I sought some gay friends.
Likewise.
I'm like, damn, I was fucked up.
Yep.
That takes a lot. Now,
I know all about that.
and don't mind, if y'all want to cut in, you can at any time.
Yep.
Well,
I grew up with all that reggae and shit like that. And there's mad, like, homosexual music in that realm. And I'm dancing and grinding to it too. But then once you got some gay friends and they're at the same fucking parties, the song sounds different.
It does. It hits.
You know what I mean? It changes some shit. So you got to grow.
So to speak, Fitz, a little bit about the perspective that you were talking about. Me personally, I'm born 92. So
baby,
whatever, dog. But I went through pretty much my entire scholastic career without really witnessing any racism, right? Like I grew up in the South End of New Bedford. I'm a basketball player. I'm a football player. I ran track. I rap. I'm literally in the community, right?
Oh yeah.
So I was always everybody's favorite white boy, right? Like that's what I always got called. That's my favorite white boy.
Hey, Thorn, you still are, man.
My favorite white boy all time, baby.
Oh, but
sorry
just to keep it going. So 2012 rolls around. Trayvon happens.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm in college. I'm seeing the emergence of racism come back around, and this is something that, like, I think it skipped right over my generation. Like it wasn't prevalent. So now I'm dealing with this difficulty because I come from the neighborhoods where, like, I'm the one white boy. I'm the token, right? So I'm chilling with everybody, and now it's starting to be like, like, white people don't give a fuck about us, and white people don't do this, and white people don't do that, and they're always trying to be supreme. And I'm like, like, if anything, I feel like I'm more, like.
Let me jump in there 1 second. And I talk to Thorn about this all the time, and we talked about this on the last episode. And Black people, I'm telling you the same thing. In order for us to have honest conversations, don't take on guilt when Black people are speaking on whites that don't treat us right. And the same vice versa. If I know that there's Black kids that treated you a certain kind of way for being a white boy too. Sometimes a neighbor, like, you don't know what you're talking about. We don't take on the guilt. Just have the honest conversation and try to remove. Because, like, I know it's extremely hard, especially in these times of social media, for us to not be able to remove our feelings for a second. But sometimes I've become a better human being by being able to, like Fitz was saying about the homophobic thing. I had to remove my feelings from that for a second and start to look at the people and listen to them with empathetic ears to understand, like, this shit really ain't cool. Like, why is it like this? You know what I'm saying? But in the same instance, I also had to explain to a large populace of the community, the LGBT community, that, well, there's this thing that happened in slavery. There's some things that happen in slavery to Black men and Black women where certain sexuality overall was weaponized against us in a lot of ways, especially when it came to how they dealt with Black men in front of their families. I don't want to go too deep down the hole here. Fuck it, I'll go down the hole. Buck busting, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had men getting raped by other men in front of their families to devalue them as a man to their families. Then you fast forward, you get into mass incarceration and all this other stuff. The jail life made an even bigger stigma on how Blacks viewed homosexuality, period. How anyone that went to prison viewed homosexuality, period. So we have to, no matter whether or not we're talking about white issues, Black issues, gender issues, class issues, socioeconomic issues, we have to have empathy when we're having those conversations, first and foremost. Because think about it like this, right? Okay, so people always equate having money. I'm gonna go into classism real quick. So classism does suck, right? But people always equate that a person that has money has an easier life. Do you understand what it's like to maneuver millions of dollars in a portfolio? You got mad people weighing on you. You already got mad biases. It's not every single one. See, when I say this, sometimes people go straight to the Jeff Bezoses. Do you know how many good people that they are that try to put money forward? Now, this is why I also talk about. Here's the problem, because like, let me give you an example. We're dealing with some funders that helped us get this Artists Everywhere grant, right? No shade, but I've made it very clear. You're either gonna empower us or nothing at all. We're not gonna be enabled. We're not gonna have the check come to us, and then you try to dictate to us how to help our people. You're going to empower us by putting that funds into our hands and letting us, the people, decide how we need to move forward. So there's levels to that conversation. But before we get deeper on that, and again, by all means, this is a platform to agree to disagree. I'm learning just as much as everybody else. But before we get into that, I want to chime in with Ninah for a second, because it's important and it's imperative to me. Like, as Black males, we're an endangered species. Like, we're at the top of the human paradigm of endangered species. But I also want to talk about the perspective from a Black woman's perspective, and how it's also equally almost as equally dangerous, if not equally dangerous, for Black women at this point. You know, you have hundreds of thousands of Black women disappearing every year. You got them lost into the system. You know, you got Sandra Bland's, you know what I'm saying? We're seeing that more often now. How do you feel as a Black woman and a mother coming through these times? And how do you feel like we can actually get some progress?
Okay, of course you put me on the spot. So how do I feel as a Black mom coming up, or a Black woman, period? Honestly, let me be 100 with y'all. I just feel like a lot of the times I don't. All right, I'm gonna chop it up. As far as being a mother, a Black mother coming up. Wait a minute. Sorry. Ask me that question again.
So just as a Black woman, period, like, how do you navigate these times? What do you feel as a Black woman and a mother? You know what I'm saying? How do you feel about these times? How do you look, how do you gauge how to talk to your son during this time? And especially raising a young Black man, that's now a father, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you navigate that?
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm horrible at explaining things like this, but I honestly take it like day by day and situation by situation. So if we're looking at what we're going through right now, as far as like what just happened with the police brutality and stuff like that, I talk to my son as much as possible, letting him know, what's right, what's wrong, letting him know to, keep his eyes open and watching his surroundings, for just like things outside of character. You know what I'm saying? You can't live your life every day I don't live my life every day trying to figure out what's the next move, what's my next step, because it's just so much going on that I think it would just like drive me crazy. You know what I'm saying? So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well, very well.
Oh, now we lost it. Okay, so
Wait.
there you go. You back? Now I can't see you.
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
Just gotta activate your camera back.
Hold on. You can hear me though?
Yep.
Yeah.
So while she's doing that, Fitz, real quick, we'll come right back to her. So, I saw a post up here. Now, because, again, you're somebody who I consider an elder to me. My OG, bro, like, for real. And we never get to kick it like this often. You know what I'm saying? Usually we be in mixed rooms and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We never get to kick it like this often. We both got busy lives. It's not intentional. But one thing, because I saw somebody post about the NAACP, right? And I could be ignorant in this statement. Absolutely. I'm just putting it out there. Is it not hard to see how a lot of the Black youth and people of color have lost faith in some of those organizations? Because like, I want to know that they're doing more good than not. But then it's like, you're
gonna get me in trouble.
No. I'm just, if I need to be taught something, by all means.
No. I mean, I've gotten in trouble for talking about the NAACP before, because I still have an issue with the fact that they have the CP colored people. Why can't they just say people? Everybody's been updating logos and branding. I just think, why not jump aboard? We got more than just colored people. that we're dealing with, and I think it would be an olive branch in the right direction. But it seems like I'm not that versed on, because I don't pay attention to them, because they only seem to pop up when something like this goes down.
That's what I'm saying.
Meanwhile, I'm usually, and it's no slight against anybody, but I do see the United Way. I do see the Boys and Girls Club as I'm out there in the community doing art programs and whatnot. I drive by the NAACP building, but I don't know what goes on there. I've seen them out, I know they have something, but I ain't seen their logos on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we gotta have a black person die around here, and maybe they'll speak up.
But there was a kid.
Well, I'm gonna switch to that. So I'm gonna jump right back to you. So Thorn, you were talking about 2012 and everything like that. That's when Malcolm Gracie was murdered, and I was new to this city. I had literally just moved here when it had happened. Maybe it happened like 4 months before I moved here. And I'm gonna be honest, like growing up in Boston, it was happening so often. And again, Boston's not Chicago. We're all, basing this on where we live and everything like that. But growing up in Boston is crazy. Like nationally, when Saturday Night Live is making jokes about Boston being racist, this shit's not a joke. It's well commonly known that there's areas and pockets of everywhere, but places like Boston, it gets ridiculous. So anyway, I come here in 2012. I hear about this kid, and I was kind of baffled because I didn't see anybody doing anything. Now here's the problem, right?
No, there's activists.
No. I know there's like gender barrels and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like he didn't get the same because, and again, the reason I feel this way is because the police department spun the story. They tried to paint him to look a certain way, but at the end of the day, this kid died over what was thought to be a gang handshake. That's not probable cause to mess with this kid. Then you mess with the kid. And then you feel like the kid's running away from you when these kids fear the police. They fear interactions with the cops. And the Supreme Court justice already decided that, fleeing is not enough for you to pursue if they didn't commit a crime, if it's a probable cause. Right?
Still get chased and shot, though.
But that's the problem. So I want to bring us into this conversation. I want to talk about the culture of cops and cop films. Because the other day, it dawned on me when we did the podcast 2 days ago, how cops are even portrayed in movies. Like some of our favorite movies, think about it, we love Bad Boys. We love movies like that, right? Them motherfuckers been violated rights and all kind of shit in those movies. Why do we love that shit when it's in movie form? We love Training Day. You know what I'm saying? Why do we love these movies when these cops break the rules and then be surprised when it happens in real life? When a lot of these movies are just interpretations of real life. So maybe as society, we have some... Maybe as a society, we have some responsibility to check ourselves on some of the stuff that we actually look at. Because these cops watch the same movies. You think these cops don't get amped when they see a movie and the cop does some crazy shit and he gets away with it?
Right, yeah. No, Training Day is probably like the epitome of like getting hyped up and like, with Denzel and right? Like Denzel was in Training Day.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was like, oh yeah, for sure. So it's a desensitization tactic. When you want to shed light on it, right? So it kind of bears down to morality. Like, what's your morals? What are you taking this in as entertainment, or are you easily influenced by this entertainment and you want to act out like this entertainment? The same thing with like gang violence, So you see all these gang movies, and some people want to act like that too.
But that's the point I was making, because a lot of the culture that I came up on. Listen, all I got was shit shoved in my face as a kid. We're all kids. We're all impressionable as children. So as I'm getting older, sometimes I'm willing to try to understand where empathetically, like I've had racist people come at me. And then I've got enough patience in my life where it's like, as long as you're not trying to harm me, you can be talking some shit. I try to take a Socratic approach now and ask you, what was your childhood like? Because I know in my childhood, I wasn't fucking with white folks. The way my mama was talking and all my black people was talking, I had the northern, they called us northerners, and I got family down south. So either side was like, don't fuck with these white folks. You know what I'm saying? But it was weird because then I went to school and I actually had some white teachers that were super invested in trying to get me to not be a badass kid. Like it wasn't, they were not doing it. Like a lot of teachers now, the shit's just a job. A lot of cops now, the shit is just a job. I remember when I was going to school, like teachers that actually, and I'm not saying all, but I remember it was more often than not that teachers embraced teaching. You know, one of my greatest teachers all time was, I tell the story all the time, was a gentleman named Mr. Hannigan. He was a German fellow. He moved out. He was here for his family migrated here 3 generations ago or something like that. They went through the World War. They was on the opposite side of the ball and all of that shit. Not him, but you know, the German people. And it's interesting because he is the guy who made me appreciate the English language and made me appreciate just staying astute enough to have a good vocabulary when I talk to people, right? And this guy would teach me weird shit like a word like Personalharch in German. You know what the fuck a Personalharch is? You know when it's cold? I didn't even know there was a word for this shit. You know when it's cold outside, like I mean frigid. You know, I guess it get real frigid in Germany. And you get that little frozen snot shit right there. That shit, they have a word for that. It's called Personalharch. Now look, I never forgot that word ever in my life because this guy took the extra time to try to, you know, to talk about it. Now here's one thing I can say about Germany, right? And I think that we can learn from Germany. By all means, I'm not excusing none of the shit that they did when they did it. But I will say that they took some right steps towards the path of reconciliation. Germany every year has a day. We have all of these fake holidays, but Germany has a day every year where they actually sit down and say sorry to all the people that they affected during that war. They actually have a day in their calendar where they celebrate reconciling their past.
Yeah.
Did you know that
in this country?
Did you know that the dude that I forget his name, but the dude that designed Hitler's missiles and rockets actually helped us get to the moon because we were struggling.
Von Braun, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was, listen, don't get me started on Operation Paperclip because apparently there's a whole bunch of people living down in Argentina in German towns and all of that stuff. And NASA moved everybody over here. Some of the people that was on the Manhattan Project were brought over here. You know, it's just the nature of war, I guess, and the way these people fight. And yeah, Germany actually paid off their people who were affected by that too. They did put out reparations. Well, that's a conversation we have to have later about reparations because I feel like this country's not even ready to have a conversation about equality and equity, let alone reparations. But okay, so I've digressed. So let me get back.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, you're back. You're back.
Now that I'm back, I just real quick want to say,
on that.
Honestly, just to keep it short and sweet, I take things day by day. You know, I talk to my son as much as I can, as much as possible. I'm honestly terrified for my son and other minorities growing up because of police brutality and all that's going on. So, you know, I try to stay in my son's ear and let him know, like, my son's a knucklehead, but he's a knucklehead to the point where like he can be like kind of disrespectful, but he knows when, you know, when mom's serious or when I say something, that's what it is. So I stay in his ear as much as I can to try to keep him out of trouble, keep him out of the streets. You know what I'm saying? If I see anything that I dislike, I don't like approve of, you know, I've always been blunt with my son. I've never held anything back from him. And it's scary to know that, you know, these kids are growing up. Well, I mean, it's always been like this, you know, our minorities are growing up and they have to watch their back and they have to make sure that, you know, they're not doing anything to cause these type of things to happen to them, like getting abused or beat up or even killed by the police. So again, I'm petrified. And I just think that like we all need to more or less come together. And, you know, as far as with our children, especially like me, I was a single mom. You know what I'm saying? I raised my son all by myself. So, and they tell you like a village, it takes a village to raise the kid. And I strongly believe that. But then when you believe in that, it's just like, what village do you want? What type of village do you want raising your kid? You know what I'm saying? And like, I've always taught my son to be respectful. Do not disrespect your elders and all of that. But then at the same time, you know, there's the elders can be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? To the point where it's just like, what do you do? And then with the police, it's like you grow up or you're taught to like respect them, obey them. But then when they're turning around and doing things like this, how do you respect and obey a man that literally he knows better, he knew better than to cut this man's circulation off his neck? And like they didn't help him. I'm like all over the place with it, but
but no, it's cool.
At the end of the day, it's just like we have to like stick together. We can't dwell on it. We got to do what we have to do to survive, and make sure that we're safe and our children are safe. It is difficult for Black women as well. I mentioned like probably a couple of months ago on my show, I'm from Brockton, but I live outside of Brockton, and I live in like, White Town. About a couple of months ago, I literally got pulled over like 6 times in a month. And it was scary every time that, those blue lights were flashing behind me. Even though I know I did absolutely nothing wrong, I was petrified. So it's just almost like, again, day by day, try not to stress yourself out, come together, and let's all like try to figure this out together and not be alone trying to figure out this crazy and navigate this crazy world.
It's beautiful that you touched on that. So like, that's dope. And I want to bring the other side of the ball into the room, right? So I have a woman of color who actually, oh, wait, she just popped off. All right. She'll be back in a second. I was actually about to bring her up. Hold on. Let me just see. So I got Shakira, who's going to be coming on in a second.
So to kind of like coattail off of what you're saying, Ninah, it's crazy.
Oh, no, here she goes, Thorn. Hold on 1 second. Here she goes.
Oh, all right.
So, I want to welcome Shakira to the room. Again, this is a super dope thing that's going on here. We're trying to create a dialogue to get us to move forward. So one thing that we talked to, Shakira works as a dispatcher for the police, right? And the one thing that I appreciate about Shakira is that she didn't hold her tongue as far as what she thought was right and what she thought was wrong, period. So now what's super dope is that the duality of the situations, right? Because I think that people in general forget that we have to live with a constant fear of seeing those lights. Like I can literally not have a police car in my vicinity at all, and I could just see those lights. It could be around the corner, some shit. But because my vision caught that red and blue or whatever, that blue and white, whatever you want to have it, wherever you're at, we shouldn't have to live with that instinctual fear where other people don't have to feel that. You know what I'm saying? Shakira, I want you to just talk about your experience. Like, what is it like, living as a person of color, but also working with the police department, and what's your perspective on what took place in Minneapolis?
So I'm going to start off with saying that I also have a privilege. I'm a lot lighter than a lot of my friends and family members. So sometimes I get what do they call it? Racial ambiguous. So they don't really know what I am. So not that I can get away with things, but more of like, you do have to acknowledge that I do have a privilege because I am a lot lighter. So I just want to throw that out there. As far as working for a police department in situations like this, it's embarrassing because I didn't take this job to sit back and allow things like this to happen. I fortunately now work for a really good department, and I can honestly say that I don't think anybody that I personally work with would do such a thing. But that's also because I like to call my shift the Soul Patrol. There's a lot of minorities on my shift. I can't say too much about work because I don't want to get in trouble for saying some foolishness.
Of course.
But I will say that what happened there was completely ridiculous. No way in training hell that ever was taught to that man, if you even want to call him that monster, because I'm not even going to call him in. He was not taught that. Anybody who's saying, oh, he was taught that's how you trained. No, you weren't. I don't care where you're from, across the states. Nobody ever taught you to put a knee in somebody's freaking neck. That's not a thing.
That's not a restraint.
The people that were there, that was his backup, they failed. They failed big time. They should have never done that. They should have turned around and even said, I got him. Go take a walk. Talk about it later. I know that they have those blue to blue conversations. I want to make sure that people know this too. When things like this happen and you're the officer on scene or the supervisor on scene, and I understand that you don't want to admit guilt in front of people with cameras because you're actively going to be involved in that as well. And you probably don't want to make the situation bigger than what it already is. But when somebody's life is on the line, that's when you need to speak up. I got him. And then you have that conversation, speak to whoever you need to speak to after that. I'm going to say this. Asian officer, you fucked up. You knew exactly where that was going, and you did not do a goddamn thing. You could have been the Blackie Chan for us and get in it.
Blackie Chan.
What I said. He could have been the hero of the day, and he chose not to. And you can even watch the video 100 more times, and you can see that that man was thinking in his head, not cool, speak up, and he didn't. He closes his eyes for a second, he turns his body, he puts his foot up on the curb, sticks his hand in his pocket, and he's literally not there. Because he knows if I say something, it's gonna go, I don't know what's gonna happen here. But somebody at that point in time should have said, I got him. You're good, bro. Go take a walk. Get out of here. I got him. Put him in the car.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now that you said that, let me just jump into something real quick because that's a great take, and it brings me into a segment that we had on here where I was going to bring up a video of another officer who spoke out on this. I've been seeing this officer speak out every now and then on topics like that. I actually did some homework because I wanted to make sure he's an actual cop. You know how people could just this COVID thing. You found out mad people were just dressing in scrubs and playing like they was doctors and giving bad information out. So you gotta be careful, people. You know what I'm saying? You gotta vet your shit. And again, you know, we'll get into that after this. I'll play this real quick and then let you guys hear another officer on the job and just listen to how he felt about it, because he brought up a great point about the duality of the roles that we play when we're dealing with shit like this in the community. Give me 1 second. Let me just take that comment off. All right, check this out, people.
Let's talk things that happen in Minneapolis, top standpoint, right? I'm disgusted with the things that happen in Minneapolis. Period and blank, things that went way different. At the end of the day, let's talk facts. Guy is on the ground. He's laying on his stomach. He have handcuffs on. It's 4 of y'all, 1 of him. 4 of y'all, 1 of him. Who has control of the situation? It's not much one person could do against 4 people. Now let's get deeper, right? As an officer, you are a first responder, right? So if in the midst of you trying to gain compliance, someone is hurt, you have to render aid. So somebody's saying, I can't breathe. You don't think to yourself and say, oh my gosh, this guy can't breathe. He might die. Let me render aid, right? Another point, officers, other officers, if you're going to be an officer that's going to stand there and not help when things go wrong, come on, like you don't see that? That's the reason I got behind this badge, right? Because I want them officers that's afraid to step up, I want to be the one to step up. If I see wrong happening, wrong is not happening in my presence, right? I'm going to check it, and that's period.
So and that's kind of that kind of sums it up, because like, you know, a lot of officers do have first responder training. So it's like I don't understand where the discrepancy gets in where they can't.
I'm pretty sure that across the board, every single one of us, whether you work behind a desk in the building or outside on the road, has some form of first. Oh, sorry, baby just burped.
All good.
First aid. If somebody's saying that they can't breathe, they're cuffed up, they're already on the ground at that. And I was a medic. Okay, at that point in time, if somebody says I can't breathe, there is labored breathing. I can't breathe. At that point in time, you need to put him in the recovery position on his left side, and you need to reevaluate the situation. Even people who are handcuffed, laying on their stomach, can suffocate and kill themselves.
I don't know how accurate it is, but I saw the mayor of Minneapolis. He said, if you can say that you can't breathe, you are able to breathe.
I think
is he a doctor?
Right.
Is he a nurse? Is he a police officer? Is he a dispatcher? Does he have E&D training? No.
Right.
Go sit down.
Right.
He can't breathe when he walks up the damn stairs. You've seen the picture of him.
Oh yeah.
If you
So is that an actual quote?
Yeah, but I think the dude was from Mississippi.
Yeah, he's from Mississippi. We already know Mississippi's a whole different.
I mean, you know,
Mississippi.
You know what? It's and that's even shitty that we say it like that. Like, oh, we just expect it. You know what I mean? Like, there's an inherent racism that we know. Like, I can name Alabama, anybody, Louisiana, you know, Tennessee. All of a sudden, everybody, yeah. As soon as you hear that country drawl, it kind of messes with you. So, that's to me, that's on top of it. A shame that we're conditioned to this profiling as well.
So
everybody is. So
exactly. I was about to say it's societal at this point, because it's not just a matter of like police and another thing too. So I want to shift this a little bit, because I want people to understand something, because I see a lot of people getting caught up in only the idea, because it's a cop right now, that this is getting. But just last week, it wasn't a cop. It was a couple of citizens that were deciding that a black guy shouldn't be jogging in the neighborhood. And let's say this guy did break a crime. Shakira will tell you, like, just because you broke a crime doesn't mean these people can be your judge.
You deserve to die.
Execution.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No, what they said was they believe that he fit the description of a man that was breaking into houses. So they wanted to go Batman.
No,
they wanted to be vigilante.
Absolutely, but then there's that. But then you're going into that unconscious bias zone again, or conscious bias, where it can go either way. Go ahead, Ninah.
I didn't even hear the fact that they were saying that there was a man going around prior breaking into houses. They obviously had to say that after they were arrested.
Right.
And the fact is that's neither here nor there, because if
if they said that, it does not matter. You do not roll up on people who are running down the street, whether you think they did a crime or not. Are you in danger? No.
But
you dead? No. They get the white in the throat. Then you call it in. You give the description, and the dispatcher will even say, "Do not follow them." Oh, you're gonna follow them? Make sure you stay further behind them. Do not approach. Let me know where you are. Where are you going? Like, these are all the questions that we are trained to ask. 15 years of service, I can rattle them off. There's no need for it.
Go ahead, Ninah. And I totally agree, Shaq.
No, I was definitely under the impression that there are, different laws in Georgia. And, in Georgia, they could obtain a citizen's arrest. In Georgia, it's not illegal for them to ride around with shotguns. You know what I'm saying? So they were all using that as like an excuse or a reason for why they were riding behind him, why they had the shotgun on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta let. It sucks because, like, you're supposed to let law enforcement do his job, but now we see what happens is that even if they did let law enforcement do their job, this guy could have been in the same scenario. So where can we live without feeling like, again, no pun intended, without living like we got a knee on our neck all the time? Like, I have extreme anxiety coming from what I came through, trying to reform my life. And now I'm in a place where, at least when I was in the streets, my black people knew where I was at. Now that I'm actually trying to get more people come together, I got a lot of black people. Shaq can relate to this. I know Fitz can relate to this. I got a lot of black people that be like, "Oh, but you hang with some white folks." I'm like, what does that have to do with it? I'm trying to get us forward, bro. I'm trying to move us forward, bro. Like, I'm trying to get us somewhere. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, me and my wife got married. You know what I'm saying? Now, my wife's mulatto. You know what I'm saying? It was the weirdest thing to me because my wife was browner than me. She's darker than me. And it was people referring to her as the white girl. I'm like, first off, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Second off, what are you talking about, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, just because some of her bloodline, like, this is a melanated woman. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no getting past that. You understand what I'm saying? If you know, listen, I don't want to get too crazy, but if you know the one drop rule, you know what time it is. And a lot of this shit comes down to that one drop rule. A lot of this is based off of fear. It's based off of fear instead of understanding that all of us together, like, it's like the people talk about being colorblind. Like, stop that shit, man. It's dismissive of the beauty of the spectrum that we have in this world. Like, I'm not with the colorblind shit. I'm with the I appreciate you, you appreciate me, let's appreciate each other. But we can't, like, we're just colorblind because that is what it is. Like, but before we get into that, I want to get into some somewhat positive news. But again, I don't feel like this happened because it just happened. I feel like this happened because they were applying pressure, and shit's just not gonna get any better anytime soon. But so the officer was charged with 3rd-degree murder today. They did pick him up. But again, you know, black people, we've seen this dog and pony show enough times to say, well, where's that going to go from there? So many lives is under curfew after ex-officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck charged with 3rd-degree murder.
So I believe that he deserves at least 2nd degree if you look up the laws in that state. And not even like, bro.
Well, 3rd degree is like 25 years. Yeah.
25 years max. And you know he's not even going to get a taste of that.
I mean, that's the charges that were brought against him right now. They're looking to charge him.
Let them load up. The more charges.
Imagine someone having their fucking knee on your neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
You know what I think about when I think about him having his knee on his neck? I don't know if any of you guys did this, but when I was younger, I'm from the projects, and you know, we did this thing where you would take deep breaths and then hold your neck to like stop your circulation and then faint and fall out.
We did the harassment.
Nah, girl. I don't know what.
Nah, we played them passed out games. We were some crazy little niggas.
Yeah, so you know that as a child. You know what I'm saying? that's gonna pass.
That's a no for me.
Why wouldn't an officer of the law know or realize that that's gonna make that man pass out and cause I'm
he knew what he was doing
by this whole situation.
He knew what he was doing.
That's a lot that comes to mind when I see that. Like,
so not only does he pass out and start breathing, but he's unconscious and nobody's rendering any type of care after. Not one person rendered any type of care after. That don't make no damn sense.
Because they knew what they were doing.
He still had his knee on his neck when the paramedics pulled up with the stretcher.
It's ridiculous.
I think all of them should be charged. I don't understand why the other 3 officers are still out in the streets. They all need to be charged with accessory.
Well, because
no one did anything.
Because they were talking. I listened to a shit ton of NPR. So this morning they were saying that that's the fastest a murder charge has ever went through in 4 days. So they got on it with that, and then I think it's going to keep escalating and escalating. So they slapped them with the fastest thing that they could. Hopefully.
But here's the thing.
They didn't arrest him until 2 days later.
Yeah,
he should have been arrested
that day. And here's the other
side. Arrested him that day, and they went and worried about the damn Target up in flames.
Thank you. I'm like, yo, why do you think that we don't give a shit about a Target when that Target is a gentrified corporation in their community? Where's Target standing up for them if those people are customers of theirs and they purvey their business in their community? Where's AutoZone standing up? Why can these people come into our neighborhoods, create all of these liquor stores, not be from the neighborhood, make all the money, but not stand up for when these bodies drop? And why is people only concerned with the fucking value of a store and not the value of our lives?
I will say this.
I'm not approving looting, but I'm saying, what do you think people are going to do when you put them in the corner?
Can anybody hear Fitz? Because I can't hear him. It seems like he's trying to talk.
No, I was.
Yeah, Fitz.
No, I was just okay. So I was saying
I can't hear him.
Oh no! Can everybody else hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, go ahead.
I can hear you.
I'm coming in. I'm going back out.
Oh, right on. I feel like it's more of a kind of like the litmus test. It's a revelatory type thing. It's revealing what's already been there. They're just putting it in more words and actions. We know just by everything that there's a group of people who the color of my skin has no value to them and is also seen as a form of weaponized armament that they need to kill it. They don't see it. It's like sociopathic. There's no empathy. There's nothing there. And we feel it, but nobody's saying it. And then something like this happens. And then somebody's bitch ass goes on about what happened with Target. But I guarantee you they didn't complain anything about the guy who died that they're doing it for. So who gives a shit about Target? They have insurance. They're going to be just fine. They're probably going to make out on this by claiming all this lost damage and everything like that as well. But nobody on that side is talking about this guy who passed away. And the people who didn't get arrested and who are still free, like Nina was saying. Like, that's where the justice is. Everybody will talk about the aftermath and all this other stuff that happened, but they're not talking about the cause of it because they don't want to. That requires change. That requires that same thing that when I was homophobic and you were, and dealing with other people, that we had to literally go in and fucking change. They don't want to do that. They are comfortable.
Yes, comfort.
Change isn't easy. We've had to adapt and do things left and right. We're originally fucking African. We're not supposed to necessarily be wearing this shit, but we do. We've assimilated and we blended in just to fit in, but we're still second-class citizens. And it's obvious we are, because if somebody's complaining about a target burning down and inanimate objects being lost and stolen, all this other shit, but there's a loss of life, like, guess what? They can make all that shit. That shit will all be back on the shelves in a couple of weeks.
Could you imagine? Let me give you a parallel. Could you imagine 9/11 happening in America, being like, we're going to peacefully protest Iraq, right, in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
America's not in the business of peaceful protests when they have conflicts, but they only want the second-class citizenship to be peaceful all the time. I'm not advocating for people to go out and be crazy, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
here and there, it absolutely will. It's because there's already, as it's happening now, there has to be some kind of collapse in order for things to be reformed.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's gonna likely cause loss of property damage and life, because there's people who still don't give a shit and they care about those inanimate objects more, and being a hero and enacting some kind of fantasy they have in their head, like they're right and so superior that they can do whatever the hell they want to do. But we have to play by the rules. We have to all play by the rules. There are people telling us, well, don't act out when you get pulled over. And don't. How many instances we have of black people just being black and getting killed? A ton of them. I see though, every time something like this happens, literally another name is added to the bottom of this email thread that I see all the fucking time. And in the last, there's been like 4 names that have been added down there, and that's just in recent times. So a lot of that change, I don't know if we're going to see it in our, I'm convinced I'm not going to see it in my lifetime, because there's too much profiling that you got to reverse the profile. And our generation is like, we're stuck. That's our mindset. We're entrenched. We know we need to change, but then there's a whole group of people who aren't changing, and they don't give a shit. Our allies need to speak up during their family meetings. They go out to drink, and they have these racist comments. They say nigger more than me a lot of times. And I know that because my white friends tell me. And they talk about all kinds of stuff left and right. Now, that white person, what they failed to realize, that when they were telling me about all this niggerish talk, I'm waiting for her to say what she did.
Yes.
And of course, she did nothing. But I can't slide her, because that same thing, I was that person when the homosexuals were getting made fun of, and I just sat there silently. So I understand where she is, and it's reaching her and understanding that she does have a voice, because she knew it was wrong. And she felt she was apologizing to me then. She didn't even say it. She's apologizing to me for the story and all that. Now, I don't know. Maybe she did say it. Maybe that's where some of that guilt comes from. I don't know. But she was honest enough at least to reveal something to me that I never thought of them running around saying nigga left and right like that. It just never, I don't in my everyday run around saying cracker, 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 thinking of any negative thing I can say about any race or anything like that. Like, I don't even think of that. But there's a whole subsect of our culture that they rally behind it. And they don't have that. So the allies who are out there, they got to do more. It's kind of shitty to have to say, but
It's true.
You're gonna have to stand up when we're not around.
So here's the difficulty of that platform, right? Because I was touching on that earlier. So unfortunately, there's some people that would walk around wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt because it's a gimmick right now.
Yeah.
There will be white people that are wearing it as a trend. There will be white people that are wearing it because it's popular. So the issue is when you have someone like myself that is a part of the culture, that's always been acknowledged as part of the allies, right? We don't know when it's appropriate to have a platform. We don't know when it's appropriate and if we're going to be judged back because we aren't Black trying to defend Black lives, So that's the difficulty here, because we feel like I know I'm amongst the individuals that have something to say, but don't know if I'm going to be looked at out the side of my eye, out the side of somebody's eye, because he's like, yo, he's just a white boy that's trying to act Black or something like that.
Here's what I'd say to that.
You do what you think is right.
Do you, like what Shaq is saying, speak up, because it's kind of like going green, right? That's the other trend that happened, that it was like now everybody's recycling and composting and doing all the cool stuff because they can't hurt. So I'm gonna be real. I don't give a fuck if you're fake. You're still helping save the planet a little bit if you're doing the shit. So if you wear your Black Lives Matter shirt and you're a white dude, I don't mind. I'm okay with it, because at least you are appearing to an ally. I don't give a fuck, but to another white person, it does matter. That's one less person they know they can say nigga around. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with putting pressure.
I agree
on that. So to me, speak your piece, speak your mind, give them other copycat people something else to say and follow, because they might be. They're drowsy. They're not woke. You feel me? But something you do might help that eye open up a little bit more. And they might wake up a little bit more. And then when the next 8 Black people die, then it eventually clicks in their head, oh, I get it now. I get it now. Now it's because and unfortunately I say 8 Black people, there could be more. Because it takes that repetitiveness that it's a monotony to us, but to some people they don't see it because they're not around it. We're around it, Black, and then I got people calling me out the blue. I love you, Fitz. I just wanted to let you know I love you, and I get that. I could be pissed off, like all my white friends are calling me and checking in on me. You know what I mean? You could have checked on me any other time too, by the way. But it's cool. It's cool.
From viewing the social media timeline, and I just recently got back on. I was gone from December until last month, and getting back on. Now it's seeming like, especially specifically with this last instance, that the white people that are saying things are being kind of rebutted back on certain individuals' timelines that are like, oh, now the white people want to see it, and now this and that. Like, personally, me, I know I'm not in that now category, but better late than never. You know what I mean? Like, better for people to be waking up. Let's not make people feel bad for waking up.
Absolutely.
And to kind of go off on a little kind of seem like I'm reaching. I'm about as Irish looking as you can get. And my great grandfather is full-blooded Cape Verdean. So that doesn't transcend down to me because I'm pasty. So when I have the privilege, you know what I mean? But like it's unfortunate because like I have it in me. And not much. So it's not even anything to brag home about.
They would call you an octoroon.
Fits with that. Yeah. So listen, like,
okay, no, there's octoroon, there's mulatto, quadroon, octoroon. So these are all steps. And this is just another tangent, just throwing this shit out there. these are all steps to remove, like, you have to be removed out of the blackness to be pure white again. Feel me? So you would have to probably 2 more generations. This is according to, I didn't make this up, by the way. But 2 more generations, like your kids would have to marry somebody white, and then your kids, you know, they would have to marry somebody white, and then you can get your white card back.
Shit's crazy.
That's how it works. I don't
what
make
I'm
up
saying
the
is-
rules, but I know the motherfuckers.
But what I'm trying to press on here is that you know, I don't have to worry about getting pulled over. I don't have to worry about the things that the darker skinned individuals have to worry about on a day-to-day. So even though I don't feel as though that I am privileged, I do have, just like I'm pointing wrong. What is it? Shaq was saying.
Yeah, yep.
She, even though that she's slightly lighter, I'm several shades lighter. You know what I mean? So like, I never.
Man, you pass like a motherfucker.
So Fitz and I were on the phone the other day, and I did do something wrong. I went through a stop sign, and I called myself on it as I already went through it. Like, I just went through a stop sign. Whoop, whoop, got pulled over. I was like, if this wasn't New Bedford, I'd be terrified right now. And it just so happened that it was in New Bedford, next to the station. I knew the officer because I worked there, obviously. But prior to that, he was a teacher at New Bedford High School. And as soon as I seen his face, I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Must be nice.
Yeah, no, for real. Because shit.
No, but that's
Yo,
what I mean.
I don't know if I like.
That is a privilege.
But I got a problem because
trust me, I know I get all the tickets.
Yeah,
I
would have never went
drive
down
a
with
Prius
me.
now, so I'm undercover. But
I would love to borrow some of this light skin shit because I'm light skinned, but I ain't never got none of that shit. Like I fit like in a medium.
I'm not saying that
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
But I'm just saying, like, I really know that, like, because I am light and I would just happen to be in New Bedford, but even if that was maybe Dartmouth or wherever, I probably wouldn't have been in as much trouble or as nervous as somebody who maybe fits his complexion. But it's as light-skinned people of color, we also need to acknowledge that we do have a privilege.
Oh yeah,
you know, I see, and I totally, absolutely, right. But I was growing up in I was the light-skinned kid. I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I was a nigga that wanted to be blacker all the time. You know what I mean? So like, I had the reverse complex. When everybody was talking about, oh, the light skin this and the light skin that, I was into my whole dark thing once I really started learning about our people and our heritage and stuff like that. But anyway, I've digressed. I never had that benefit. I was lighter than this at one point. You know what I'm saying? And I just couldn't understand it. Maybe it was because of the way I carried myself. Because I was very like, I'm letting you know I'm black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not coming in a room and like, oh, you know what I mean? But I just have, you know, things on that represented me. My logo's a lion, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like how white people just co-opted an African lion and shit. Like, hold on, nigga, that's Africa. Stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, slow down. So it's like, there was just certain aspects to me that didn't give me that luxury. Plus growing up in the block that I grew up on. So like, it does depend on, like Shaq said, being in New Bedford's completely, entirely. I have to go shoot a video in Boston tomorrow. I have absolutely no desire to go back to my home city because I already know the probability of shit by me shooting videos down there and shit.
Yeah, so it's completely different up here compared to, well, when I go visit my friends in Texas, everybody thinks I'm Mexican, so it's crazy. But I don't want to get pulled over there. I don't want to get pulled over there. No. No, so, I do not.
So, because it's interesting because I feel like, and Fitz, maybe you can relate this because now I know, you know, we share a lot of the same friend pool now, you know what I'm saying? Because we're doing all the community stuff together. Now, there is half of them who seem like somebody like Kerry, I believe, gets it. I believe she also sometimes feel crippled because she doesn't know how to maneuver it. She gets it, but she doesn't know what to do. And that's what we've been working on is being, you know, having that kind of relationship where I'm trying to like, you know, make her understand. Not you have to be comfortable to have a conversation with me and say the wrong thing because you don't like if I don't know math and you ask me what 1 + 2 is and I'm like 5, you can't fucking just slap me in the head and be like, motherfucker, it's 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you got to give somebody time to learn, especially if they want to learn. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, there's a lot of people who get it,
but then there's people out here
what more they can do, but they're also in a place. Carrie's in a place where she may have, like, I think Carrie gets it 100%. Yep. She just doesn't. Tracy Barbosa, same thing. And they want to do more, right?
Yep.
But they're in the weird position of only being in contact with so many other racist type people that they can stand up for us around. We need those woke people who have those deep entrenched racists around them that they can begin speaking up in those crowds. Because Carrie, I guarantee you, she probably every now and again somebody that she knows pops up on her feed saying some bullshit, and she calls them out. But she's the type who just like Thorn too, want to do more, and I love that. And as we develop and figure out this communication, that just the desire of somebody wanting to do more is already moving us in the right direction.
Yes,
you get enough people doing that, and then we're golden. It's just getting them to do those little things, and it's not little things like you're saying, Thorn. Like you grew up in the culture, so you also probably don't really see as much racism as I know some of my older friends in the art community. They do, because they have Republican friends, and they have all kinds of different friends, and they have old friends from back in the day when racism was roaring and ready. Shit. So you got all these different pools of folks that we're going to have to kind of navigate through and meet them where they are. So yes, I feel Carrie is there, but it's going to be hard for her to do more. It's going to be hard.
Exactly. I've realized that myself. That's what I was going to. Yep.
They're not where it would be more effective. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys are in it with us right now. So we're shoulder to shoulder. Carrie, Thorn, we're all shoulder to shoulder. We need that other person who's on our team, but some of their shoulders are rubbing against the racist shoulders.
Yes.
And that they're still strong enough to stand. And I still see plenty of people like this. I'm seeing it more on social media where people are speaking up, and it's a part of their posts, not just when something like this happens, but it's been like that. And I follow these people, and I kind of troll around. I want to see what they're going to say, and they are legit. And I love what I'm seeing, because I'll even go as far as 2 years ago. I didn't see anything like it. Wasn't white folks sticking up. Like, I'd never really seen it. I'd never seen it or heard of it. But lately, it's starting to happen more. And kind of like you were saying, Thorn, I don't mind. I don't mind if some people are just coattailing, and it's a cool thing to do, because at least they're doing something. It's like that person who volunteers just so they can feel good about themselves. Shit, good. You volunteered, you helped feed some homeless people, you feel great about yourself, you fill the spot. Excellent. Now that's a step. And then we just build on all those blocks until we got something dope that our kids can take over, because that's really who we're going to have to pass this torch off to, because honestly, the only way a lot of the racism is going to end, a lot of these motherfuckers got to die.
I'm glad. Thank you. Somebody else had to say this shit, because I can't be the one no more, Fritz. Motherfuckers looking at me crazy, bro. They be out here like, this nigga gonna snap. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you the truth, man. I'm just telling you what the fuck's gonna have to happen one day. Like, yo, Fitz, I am always fighting against. Sometimes I get so caught up. So, like, example, I had a meeting with Carrie. My wife makes a great point, and this is what I was basically getting to. I think that Carrie's doing the most she can by taking a step back and putting us on the front line of our community. And that's the biggest thing, because we were talking about that in the episode on Wednesday, where it's like, okay, so like, there's a difference between empathizing with us and sympathizing for us. So we need more allies that not
Empathy.
I can understand you having sympathy, but that's a form of pity. We don't need so much as pity right now, more than you trying to empathize with what we're dealing with, and then helping empower us, not enable. Because sometimes people will feel like they're empowering you by putting you in positions, but they're still the ones in charge. They're not relinquishing any power. You know, power. I have a theory about power. Power is made to be relinquished. Like you enjoy it, you get it, but you have to relinquish it at some point because that keeps the power moving. You feel what I'm saying? That keeps the power growing amongst the people. It's the people who hoard. It's the people who hoard the power. That's why we don't get anywhere. They fucking hoard it so much. And it's also a fear factor too, because naturally, instinctively, because of the way our society's been set up with this capitalism shit and all this other shit, is that we're afraid to relinquish power because we feel like we'll be powerless. We have to get our allies that are in the positions of power, because I've talked about it out here. You know, I'm not going to be shy about it. I've been talking about it for weeks. I get myself in trouble all the time. I've made it very apparent that a lot of these nonprofits, although they are doing great work, there's too many white females in positions of power of these organizations, and I need to. And I'm cool with it not even being black guys or people or men of color, but I need to see more women of diversity in positions. Lee Blake should not be an anomaly, and it's not just here. I've noticed this across the board for a lot of organizations in Boston, you name it, because there's been this thing where like, okay, there's women's suffrage, totally understand it, completely down with it, understand it 100%. But white women are in a different category. You are the one minority group that still has a lot of your privileges, and you get the right to invoke those privileges a lot of the time when you become in those positions of power. And sometimes inadvertently, your unconscious bias, because again, you might be a white person, a white woman, a minority, yes, but you don't understand the black or person of color experience. So you can be in a position of power and think that you're telling somebody what you think they need versus you not understanding the best way to move about it is asking people what they need.
Okay.
And then empowering them to do it, not doing it for them.
Yes, that is why I love Carrie, because she always has that on her mind. Like a great example is the dance squad that's up in there, right?
Yep.
Like she's always teetering on, I don't want to enable them. I want to empower them. I want them to have this freedom, but I also want them to do something with it.
Oh man, we have so many conversations.
And so her mind is always, she's one of the most progressive people. I got to give her credit. She's very progressive in her mindset and how she sees the big picture. And I feel like what she's done with kind of like what you're saying, stepping back, so to say, and letting other people do more. I mean, she's done so much for so long already. It's about time. You know what I mean? That we kind of step in and do a little bit more. I mean, lately I haven't even been at the table much. I've been, the ghost kind of lurking around. I'm still down. But I've been trying to build something off to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
everything. But that's kind of the cycles we end up going through. And one thing I love about the Third Eye Collective is that they recognize those cycles. I don't have to be there all the time.
Absolutely.
For somebody to feel like, well, what is he doing anything? And that still happens, but yes, I am doing something. It's just when I want to do it.
Absolutely.
Really,
So
whatever. But go ahead.
Okay, no, I just want to jump to Ninah real quick because I haven't heard from my melanated sister in a little bit. So Ninah, listen, because I want to talk about this too. Because like one thing that we have to, because we're talking about it, like the advantages of colorism and the implications that it does have on society. What was it like growing up as a highly melanated Black woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you ever feel like you were at a disadvantage or felt like you were not the pretty girl or anything like that? Because I think that's total bullshit. But did you ever feel that way because of society?
Definitely, all the time. And what's crazy is I was just thinking about that. Growing up, because I am darker and I am from the South, so a lot of the times in the summertime or any holiday, we would travel to the South. So therefore, I would get a tan and become even blacker. And I felt like it was definitely hard on me. I felt like
if I was put into a situation where it was me versus someone, a female that was lighter than me, the lighter female always got it. And I think that a lot of women, I don't know about a few women, not me, but there are women that will take that and it will eat them up inside. You know what I'm saying? It never ate me up inside because I had my family, friends. People always told me, you know what I'm saying? You're chocolate. You're beautiful. Love the skin you're in. But I would come into those instances where I was like, okay, beat by light-skinned chicks. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, through high school, I had the biggest vendetta against Cape Verdean chicks because they were light-skinned. They had this beautiful curly hair.
Look at that.
Man. Pretty good.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm like, why I gotta be light skinned? Don't got the light skin hair, son. No,
Exactly.
that good hair.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I'm a natural blonde and nobody knows it.
Really?
Oh. Yes, I do.
I mean,
I dye my hair down. I dye my hair down.
Bro.
Mhm. Go ahead, Ninah.
I don't want nobody implying.
Yeah, I just feel like that type of being on the darkest scale and having the nappier hair. You see, I'm going a little natural these days. I've always been scared of that. I never even one time all right, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say the story real quick. When I was younger, my mom had Jerry curls, right? And my aunt used to always keep my hair braided up, so I never really got to see what my real hair was like. So one time when my hair wasn't braided, I told my brother, I said, I want my hair to be curly like mom. My mom had Jerry curls. So my brother's like, okay. He got to put in that curl activator in my hair. He wet my hair. I had a beautiful fro. Like my hair was just so pretty. And he said it was curls, but it really wasn't curls. And he was like, you look pretty. You look just like mommy. And I was like, yes. And I went outside, and the first white boy that I seen, he laughed at me. He pointed at me. He's like, what did you do to your hair? And it crushed me back then to the point where it was like, okay, fix my hair, braid my hair, put my beads in.
Ninah, they said bring your mic a little bit closer. They said that you sound far away.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's better.
Oh, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So so once like I said, the little white boy, he laughed at me, he pointed at me. He's like, what did you do to your hair? And I just, from that point on, I was like, you know what? Put my hair back in the braids. I don't ever want to wear my natural hair again. And from that point on, as being a little girl, I think I was no older than 7 and 8. I never ever wore my natural hair at its natural state again until last month. And I never
I remember that post. I remember that post.
Up inside as a child. All those years, even though, I looked in the mirror and I'm like, you're beautiful, your hair's beautiful, no one can tell you nothing. Something deep down inside really kept me from actually wearing my hair at its beautiful nappy state. And I mean, a lot of us that have this beautiful nappy natural hair and this skin color go through a lot of shit for being this way. But
as a light skinned woman, that still happens. It's just a little bit different. Women, we're weird creatures, I tell you, because it's always you want something that you don't have. I did say it. It's you know what I mean? The girls who have the straight hair, they want the curly hair. The girls with the curly hair, they want the straight hair. Mm-hmm. Me, I hated when my mom put me in. Hated it. Needed it, but hated it. And it was because I was so light skinned that people would say you don't look like the braids. Your hair, you have white girl hair, and I'm like, I don't think you know what's really underneath this. My mom really does the hair really well. You know what I mean? And for years, I never put my singles back in until probably 4 years ago, and I was like, no, this is stupid. Why am I wasting my time doing my hair every day, trying to protect the sun, heat, and everything else? Because some people agree with what I
Yeah, no. And what's crazy to me is too, because I realized this later on too, light skinned girls being some fierce ass, because the way the game was set up. Okay, fine, you're a light skinned girl, so now you're the favorite of the colorism and all this other shit. But now you're in this constant competition. You know what I'm saying? Not that dark-skinned women aren't too, but there's something fierce with these light-skinned girls, man, that was going on when I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. Also, as myself as a male, I didn't realize how much, when I was younger, I had an affinity for lighter-skinned girls, but I didn't realize that, again, the media, the portrayal, and all of that other stuff was a part of all of that. You know what I'm saying? You throw Jada Pinkett in front of me. You throw Sade. You throw all of the, you know what I'm saying, lighter, fair-skinned girls in front of me. Beyonce, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Until I saw, like, you know, I can't even remember. You know what I'm saying? Like Naomi Campbell or something like that. And was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. And then it dawned on me, you know, I started doing more homework and started looking into it because, again, I grew up around a lot of dudes that was, again, me being somewhere in the, I guess, the middle. I don't even consider I think I'm light skinned as hell, but whatever. Even though I want to be darker. Anyway, but I never really came to terms with it. And then as I got older and started to learn more about my culture, I mean, I got into the mocha, the cinnamon, you know what I'm saying, to where I'm at now, you know what I'm saying? Like, it mattered to me. It's funny to me because, like, me as mulatto, but I couldn't resonate with that because I've never been with anybody that was like that mix, you know, black and white mix. I never had dealt with anybody like that before. And also, I had an image in my head, ignorant as fuck. I had an image in my head of like what a mulatto girl would look like. And I didn't see Mia, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's brown as hell. You know what I'm saying? I knew something was going on because of her hair, you know what I'm saying? Which is fucked up anyway to say, because then I found out later on I'm mad ignorant because that hair is common to us too. So again, a whole bunch of ignorance and bias shit had got broken in the last 8 years. I mean, Nina's watched me grow. Thorn's watched me grow. You guys have watched me grow. I'm still ignorant as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But the difference is I'm willing to admit those biases to learn new things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to listen to people and then go home and do the research and learn. And I think that that's an important skill that I've acquired because one of my biggest things is admitting my faults. Because, you know, sometimes we get into this game of like, you don't want nobody to know your tea, right? So it's always like a constant game of hiding. So now you're dealing with the doubts that you have in life. You got this shit that you're hiding, and you're not realizing we're all human beings. We all go through shit. So I started just being open about the fact that, like, I was a womanizer. I had 2 broken homes. I had 2 women pregnant at the same time at 20. I was out here wild and playing the streets and had a great job at Berkeley College of Music, running 5 other prestigious colleges at the time, but couldn't give up my surroundings for what was in front of me. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of lessons. I had cases, all of that shit. When I first moved to New Bedford, I had warrants, fam. Like, this is a fact. Like, I don't hide it, nothing. Because what happens is that people see where I've gotten to in life, like married with the baby, all this other stuff, and they don't understand what it took. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times when people see like Lance Armstrong or Michael Jordan and all these people, they don't understand. Fucking Kobe was walking around with a slanted eye, a deviated finger. He was beat to shit. LeBron's gonna be beat to shit by the end of his career. Bill Russell's shuffling around. People don't understand the sacrifice that it takes sometimes to get the way you want to be in life. And then I realized, okay, so I had got to a point where everything was good. Everything was good, right? It's for me. But then it was constantly fleeting because I couldn't just deal with understanding how life's ebbs and flows actually work. And understanding that I needed to appreciate the ebbs in order to respect the flows. So now when bad shit happens, I'm just like, that clear weather's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't take much to heart anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, except for like, I've even tried to like mentally grow dexterity about this psychological warfare that's happening to us watching ourselves being killed and responding to it in a way that we can only be blinded by the anger of it and not have these kind of conversations that help people understand that there's, first off, people have this common misconception, especially allies sometimes or non-allies, that think that we're just a monolith and we're just going to think one way. It's like the people who say, I totally get that people want to push for a Democratic president, all considering who we have in there, but it's also not healthy to act like black people just should be Democrat. Like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, we should not just be healthy.
Marketing.
Exactly. Thank you. That's what I'm
marketing.
going. So I had to like break a lot of like the psychological ills of like the marketing, that because everything is marketing when you break it down. So this Marxism shit is real. You know what I'm saying? The game that they play
profiling is. Profiling is
all it is.
Our leader is called a president. That's what you call the leader of a business. Is a president.
Yeah, just the CEO of America.
Well, the United States is
everywhere else has prime ministers.
Is definitely a business.
Right. So that's what they run it down to, and then it's either blue or red at the end of the day.
So I worry about the fact that we need more dialogue like this. You know what I'm saying? Where people can not, you don't have like, Thorn said things today that he said to me only in private, but I'm happy that we have this platform back so he can speak to other people of color to understand. Bro,
you know what I would like?
Well, go ahead.
Like that video you played, I was impressed by that brother, the officer.
Yes.
I just want to see more white officers say.
Yes, absolutely. That's
what I would like, because once again, I think that's more. That brother is expected to say that. Any person of color in authority is expected that. If that's not your mentality about what fucking happened, period. Anybody in authority, you should reevaluate your shit. But I would love to hear more officers who are white.
I would love to hear more departments post things like
there
this.
You go.
Because, for instance, you will have like Dartmouth police want to send blah blah because the canine dog in Texas had to be put down or died on duty. Very sad. Everybody loves dogs, but why can't they do the same for humans?
Totally agree. So like one of the things that I noticed too, let me pull this up real quick. So, you know, everybody, again, we get this social media shit is taxing on all of our souls. It really is. And we can get lost in the sauce sometimes and just disagree with somebody about the smallest minute post that they might have made, blow it into something huge, and we look at people optically a certain way. So one of those people that I realized after meeting and sitting down with this man is the gentleman Mike Sylvia at New Bedford Guide. I realized because people of color in the community was like, well, he's only posting stuff about the negative stuff that's happening in the community. But when I actually went on the page, I'm like, yo, the algorithms are built in a way that if he posts the negative shit and that's what you're going to see, if that's what your algorithm's built to, whatever he posts, whether it was good that day or not, you're going to get the shit that the algorithm is built for you, right? But I actually, like you were just saying earlier, you need to see more cops doing it. I need to see more people that have control, like, you know, of this area, especially when it comes to how people optically think things. When it comes to, you know, the visualization of how we look. And I, my man from New Bedford Guide, like literally when this happened, again, like you said, Fitz, it was a first for me. I was like, holy shit, this dude really pinned this picture up here, and he made a post and said that picture's not being removed until that man is charged with murder or, you know, the conviction's done. That's what we need to see from our allies. That's what we need to hear. We need to hear them making
that's the shit I'm talking about right there.
That's not a play on the situation. He doesn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate it immensely. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the kind of shit that I feel like we need to see more. You know, the post that Thorn made, when you made that great post about, you know, what it was like growing up for you and how you see your perspective, you know. But again, like you said earlier, Fitz, like, because you have a lot of racist heads or, you know, these people that just want to speak outlandish on the internet, they jump the New Bedford Guide. They flourished to it because it had that, it started to create that stigma, like that was the place to do it. But then when he does something like that, he lets his actual stance be known. Like, yeah, I'm just a media outlet and I can't really, freedom of speech. He's going to go about freedom of speech and let people do what they do on there. But at the same time, he actually let it be known where his stance is. And I appreciate that from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's dope.
Well, another thing is too, that that police officers speaking up, you know, very often you see police officers taking the side of the police officer. Well, what transpired prior, and what was he resisting arrest, and da 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 da. But it's very blatant at this point. It's an abuse of power, and you see police officers. You see police officers realizing that line needs to stop being blurred. There's not a bias that you need to have just because it's a coworker or an employee or part of the training that you went through. Some people are malicious mentally, and that's what the issue is that I really don't understand it. I don't know how you can look at an individual based on melanin and have a disdain for them, have like a distaste for them. I don't conceptually get it, so it's hard for me to empathize with that. So like, I'm happy that we have police officers that are speaking up, and like Shaq said, she wants to see more departments speaking out about it, because we really need to see that there's no bias here. You know, and I see Mia talking about the dog. You know, like they're showing emotions for the dog because the dog's a police officer, but we lost a human life. We're out here being forced to stay at home because we're losing human lives. So why aren't we? I mean, I think we're doing a great job of blowing this up, and I think we are going to be making a difference. I think it's unfortunate that it's taking all of these lives to be lost in the hands of white police officers for it to get to this point, but progress is being made, and that's something that's very important because, look, you know, I mean, like I said, I brought up 2012. 2012 is when I think the movement started, and we're witnessing it more and more often because more people are privy to turning on their smartphones when these instances are occurring. And there's no way to deny that was malicious when it's right there on the video. You know, and it's not an incidental video. It's not like you can say what happened before the video. That dude was on that dude's neck for 9 minutes. There's no excuse.
So for my allies out there, for anybody who's really trying to take a stand on this, and you're trying to stand with people of color and people in humanity in general, all the posts I see right now that are coming from, like, thank you, Brittany, for letting us know that. Thank you, Renee, for letting us know that. Here's what I'm asking of you. If you see a white officer that's speaking up on this, if you see the police department that's speaking up on this, share that before you share the video of this man dying. We already got enough of that. We already got the psychological warfare of that. But now share more people who feel the way you do and that look like you standing up against this. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're going to do what we got to do. We got to do it anyway. You understand what I'm saying? We have to live this life anyway. It's not a choice. But when it comes to you, share as much of that information as you possibly can, because everybody knows we all got people. Listen, I got some black people in my family that ain't fucking with white people, period. I don't give a fuck how much progression we make. They are dead set on it, and they don't understand how, to a degree, that's counterproductive to where we actually got to get to. Because again, as I'm getting older, Malcolm be talking to me, man. I mean, Martin be talking to me, man. He be talking to me all the time, and like I'm telling you, as I'm getting older, because I have light-skinned babies, I got mixed babies. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world is, like Fitz said, to be at the top of this. Like, we got families mixing up in ways that you've never seen before. You know, in a lot of ways, I mean, there's some projections out there that the world's going to be brown or beige by a certain degree once you get, you know, to a certain Fitz, if we get to a certain degree of this.
Oh yeah.
Don't let me start it. But, you know, we have to ask, you know, when you see it as an ally and you see other people that are in positions of power or authority making those statements and pushing for progress, push that narrative more than showing hate or disdain right now. Because we're either going to find a peaceful, there's two options here. We can play games all we want. There's two options here. There's a peaceful resolution, or there's a not so peaceful resolution, not peaceful at all. And I don't think that this country, I mean, consider this. We're talking about this, and we're in the midst of a pandemic. We're in the midst of a pandemic. We don't have time.
The fact that people left their homes in the middle of a global pandemic where they could potentially catch something that will kill them and still protest it means we're serious. Like, come on.
And if you haven't watched,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
You're totally right. And if you look at the imagery, like, we've seen people march for everybody else. We've seen that. There's something different to this one. There's something substantially different optically to me from what I'm seeing from the raw footage, not reports, raw footage. I was up until about 3-4 a.m. last night, literally just watching a bunch of different live feeds from people of color running around the city. There's something different. I don't know if it's the combination of people have been trapped in the house for so long, trying to do what you got to do to stay safe, and this shit you still got time for this shit? Because for me, I felt like, we still got fucking time for this shit? But we do. There's something different going on. There's something different in the air, and I'm a little concerned on where we're headed. I've been saying for months when this pandemic started, like, I wasn't sure what it was going to be that was going to cause the destruction and the chaos to start happening with people being locked down in the house. And I've even watched the stupidity of some white folks that are not allies trying to compare wearing a mask for a couple of months to chattel slavery, completely asinine. And then I said, you know, something hit me, and I said, some racial shit's going to happen, and that's going to be the catalyst for all of this shit. And we're more divided than ever. It's not like we got a cool-headed president in there. This motherfucker said when the looting starts, the shooting starts. So there's something palpable in the air, and a lot of people I understand, especially the older generation, saying, well, it's really not no different. But this internet shit is different. This shit hits different. This shit spreads faster. It has a longer mental effect. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I respect that it might not feel different optically to our older generations, but it's something different to these kids. It really is. You know, one kid I watched last night is just a 21-year-old white kid with his other friend that was a 21-year-old black kid, and they were out there, and it was, like you said, Fitz, I've never seen, you know, we learned about white abolitionists and stuff like that. We learned about John Brown. That motherfucker wasn't playing. We learned about other people that wasn't playing, but I never seen it like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, the difference now is the allies. I think that we actually have legitimate allies. Not saying we didn't have allies before, because abolitionists have been in New Bedford forever with the Quakers and everything. So they've been here, but I feel like even that group was still small. They were effective up here with helping slaves get their freedom through the Underground Railroad, but they still weren't a large number. Now I feel like the tipping point is beginning to happen with our allies, that, and it's going to be an across the board thing, because now, and it hasn't really happened yet the way I feel it should, but the whole LGBTQ and black folks should have been working together.
Absolutely.
Been fucking working together. But now I feel like that is happening, because even in my circles of friends, we're everything. We have like gay, straight, trans. We have all those letters. We have all the letter people and us black folks and white folks. We got everything. We got everything. So it's just a matter now of us organizing it and then creating certain goals, even if it's just for our community, and then meeting those goals but tangible goals that can be reflected in crime rates, housing purchases by folks of color, graduation rates, not just bullshit. I mean, not to say Martin Luther King was saying bullshit, but the dream thing is nice, but it's not tangible the way it should be these days. So we take that dream and then we put it into a machine that gives us tangible results, so we know when we're being effective and when we're not being effective. Too many people, here's what's going to happen. 2 more months from now, not even 2 more weeks from now, the outrage is going to die down big time. All these posts you're not going to see as much. The white folks with the Black Lives Matter aren't going to be around yet. It's not going to be till somebody else dies. And that's why I was saying before, like 8 more people. And then some more people get a little more woke, but then more things have to happen. We got to control these gun laws. We got to control the power level that police feel they have, and then empowering the public to know how much power they have when facing these authorities of the police. Because not having that information and then having somebody yell at you, put lights on, flashing shit, demanding shit, yelling at you, that gets you a little uneasy. But when you learn how to talk and you know your rights, then that at least gets you a bit safer, knowing, hey, I'm going to turn my camera on. I'm just going to leave it right here, and I'll let them know we're being recorded, just so they're aware you're being recorded. Or you call somebody, hey, I'm being pulled over right now, and then you go in that route, because you just never know. We can play everything the right way we want to, but there's going to be that asshole right now who's seeing all this shit that's going to happen, and that's happening. He's still going to go out and kill somebody, because that's his mentality. So tangible results instead of just blowing smoke, because right now we're all mad. Right now we're all upset. But until things form where we're talking to police departments and getting them on board with what results we want to see in our community, nothing's changing because we haven't grabbed it and made people answer these questions and hold them accountable. Who's accountable right now for anything? That guy went 2 days. He could have gone on the run if he wanted to.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's a lot of shit that we need tangible results, but we're not used to forming those because, once again, just like us changing our minds with the bigotry and bias that we had, it takes like a lot of effort to admit you're wrong.
It does.
And these folks don't want to admit they're wrong because that means they got to admit their grandparents are wrong and their great grandparents and their plantation owner, whoever's were, wrong. One of my definitions of privilege is benefiting from a crime you didn't commit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of privileged folks out there that they're benefiting from it. They don't even know that it's privilege. They don't even know because they can't see it. It's an invisible entity. But when someone like me who isn't experiencing it describes it, that's usually why you get the backlash of somebody saying it's not that bad. Come on, because they don't see it.
They don't. Yep.
Until we get more of those tangible results through interaction, dealing with our local authorities. Hey, I know I said whatever about the NAACP, but if anybody out there in the NAACP wants to work with me on some art programming in inner city schools, bring it. Because I'm already
same. I want to see it should be effective.
So I just want to see more groups working together because it's all about collaboration. That's what I realized. There are a lot of entities in the city that are huge that don't work together.
Yep.
Denison needs to work with the Boys and Girls Club and Andrea McCoy because they're all servicing the same demographic.
Absolutely.
Different parts of the city. Why not pool those resources, get bigger grants? Boom, you're hitting things on top of the head now with your programming.
Absolutely.
Getting kids in programs and getting them off the streets, helping their parents by alleviating some of that stress of having to deal with these kids and then giving them a safe place to be. But until we move in that direction,
is definitely down to work with any of those kids programs. So
say that again.
I said South Coast Shipwreckers is definitely down to work with any of those programs.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of us organizing right now. We have a lot of great intentions and we have a lot of great people with great ideas on the table, but mobilizing them is the hardest part. And then getting those results and then linking it with these other entities and then having whatever committee that's formed or whatever holding people accountable. That's not the police. That's not it has to be from the city. It has to be us. We the people have to be the ones to volunteer our time, fucking sit there and hold people accountable. You said you're gonna do X, Y, and Z. You didn't do it. When are you gonna do it?
Yes.
We haven't had that. People can make those promises and bullshit promises like reparations, and if nobody calls you on it, follows up on it, and stays on your ass, you don't have to fucking do it.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where we're getting. So now our allies, which is beautiful, they're starting to come to us and say, what do we need to do? What do we need to do?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
So we, as us, need to have some shit for them to fucking do. Otherwise,
we're always talking about trying to get a 10-point agenda done. You know what I mean? Like, for real, like, because that's the thing. Like, sometimes when the allies do ask, well, what can we do? We don't really have clear enough answers, or we argue about the right answers when there's really no one true right answer. What we need is tailored care to tailored pain.
Right. Depends on where you are. Meet that person where they are.
That's it.
The fact that they want to be a part of the solution is enough for me. That's enough for me. I don't care where they come from, what background, or you're trying to be down, you're trying to help, you're trying to get it in. All right, this is what we need. We need that kind of energy involved. So then once we get this program, because guess what? More and more people are going to be asking that same question. How can I help? How can I help? How can I help? It's inevitable. We're going to get more and more allies. I believe that's my one shred of hope. all of these deaths do breed allies.
Yeah.
Yep. It is the undeniable fact that all these folks have been screaming about systematic oppression from the colonizers, and the descendants of these colonizers haven't been seeing it. But now, thanks to these phones and the internet and technology, they see it all the time. So it's undeniable. You can't lie now. You can't deny it. You can't hide. You can't pull the rug up over. No, you can't do any of that shit. It's right there. It's obvious. And now they're being more so than ever. I feel they're being moved, and we need to have something for them to move on, including ourselves. We need to all be doing more. Like I've been trying to ignore shit. I'll be real. I've been trying to ignore shit. I'm just trying to pay my fucking bills and get along.
Yep.
But now, damn, another one.
I can't. Yeah, I tried. I've tried.
I can't. Since Trayvon, and even when I learned about Emmett Till, but Trayvon,
Me too, since Trayvon
really fucked with me because of I was in Florida and they had that 10/20 life. So when I heard Zimmerman killed this kid, I was like, 10/20 life. This bitch is doing at least 10.
Yep, at least 10.
At least 10. He killed 25 with an L is what I was expecting. But then when that didn't happen, and another one got away, and then another one, and then nothing happening. That's the worst part about the deaths, is that the justice doesn't follow it. So it reinforces the fact that you have no value with our lives, and that's where the Black Lives Matter comes in.
Well, in this one instance that we're in right now, too, this officer had like 18 notes on him that weren't followed up with any disciplinary action.
Oh, his previous, yeah, he did have a record. But guess what? This one officer, in my opinion, and I'm glad you brought that up, Thorn, he represents a whole class of officer out there that has been protected, right? Yep. He's got, just like the priests in the churches, right? They diddle the little boys. Oh, we'll just transfer them. We'll just put them somewhere else. The same thing with these officers. Now it's a little more obvious. Now they're being called out. And I guarantee if everybody pulls every record of all these officers and you pull all the ones similar to this dude, I think the country would be shocked.
Well, here's the issue, right? It has to be boiling down to the police department and their public relations and not wanting to have the officer that are doing this dumb shit. So it has to do with that. They don't want their branch or their department to get that headline in the newspaper that they housed this officer that killed another black man. So it has to be boiling down to that. And they're protecting them. And it's coming to a point where we're becoming a unified front and we're saying, no, it's the individual. The individual needs to be dealt with in the correct manner. And it seems like we're actually getting that out, because this dude going 18 instances with no disciplinary action. The only thing that translates to me is that the police department did not want to take blame for that man. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, and it's a part of the protection. They have their code. They guard their own, and it's okay. We all look at it.
They guard some of their own. There are 2 blue lines. There are 2 blue lines. There are 2 gold lines.
Yes.
They don't speak about the first one.
No.
Minorities that work in those departments are only allowed that first line. There's another one.
I'm sure there is. They ain't gonna let them all the way in, are they? No.
Oh, hell no.
Nope.
Hell no.
So let me play this clip real quick, because as we were talking about Martin, this is where, because again, so let me give you a little backstory. So I was a badass kid, period. I was involved in everything you could be involved in, as far as just to not watch Losing Isaiah Fresh, shit like that was my life, whatever. Right. So in middle school, I had a great, this was the first time I ever had a black principal. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? His name was Dr. Charles McAfee. I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's see what's going on here, right? I never had any authority figure in my life that was a black male up until that point, right? So then, except for the streets. So then, you know, he dealt with me in an entirely different way, and I'm blessed that he dealt with me in that way. Because, like, instead of like, you know, I was cool with getting suspended. You know, God bless my mom; she's not here, but she struggled with addiction. So when you suspended me and sent me home, it was vacation. I was just out wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was nothing stopping me. Like, fine, whatever, suspend me. I'll fight this kid, go home for 3 days, come back, do it again, whatever, right? So then he figured that out. He knew what was going on. He figured it out after a while, right? And what he did is he made me have to take in-house suspension. So I literally in his office, okay, and do all my classwork. Still a pain in the ass to him, but he did that for me. And you know, and you know, at the time, you don't understand. You just think this dude's a jerk, but it was invaluable in my life. So then another thing he made me do was recite the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech every year, right? But every year, no paper, can't have it. He was giving me like whatever I need to bump up in my grades. He was gonna help me as long as I can get that speech done. Every year for the 3 years that I was in middle school. It's crazy. It's like this dude's tapped. He's forcing it right now. Anyway, so then he taught me a valuable lesson. And he said, although Martin had his passive ways, and that's the way a lot of people like to portray him, he put me onto this speech and made me understand that this speech is actually the main reason why they had to get rid of Martin when he went and did the I've been to the mountaintop speech. So I just want to play a little piece on this, because this is the part where Martin had came to a realization after he thought he was going to get what he wanted, and he realized he was being enabled, not empowered. And that's what he was talking about when he was talking about, you know, I'm afraid that I led my people into a burning house. But I just want to play this real quick, and then we'll have a couple of little conversation and wrap up soon. Ninah, I know you got to get off soon to handle your show. I thank everybody for hanging out and stuff like that. But let's play this, and then we'll have a little, you know, decompression phase and talk about all the good stuff we got going on.
Say to America is be true to what you said on. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for rights. So just as I say, we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. We aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Now, that's not the full speech, right? But this is the speech right before he was assassinated, right? And if anybody gets a chance, please go look at the full speech, right? Because I'm not into religions and all of that as far as dogmas are concerned. You know, man, you know, anything that man's talking about. But I do have my own personal relationship with the universe. I do believe in a creator or creators. everything, the math and everything, the anomalies that have to go into this existence for us to be having this conversation right now is miraculous. I think people are always looking for magic, and our lives are magical. What is not magical about breathing some elements that we can't fucking see that keep us alive, especially during times where we're running away from fucking COVID, right? So what is not magical about having an idea? You guys can appreciate this as artists all across the board here, as having an idea in your mind and bringing that shit into the real world. What is not magical about that? We all possess wands. You know what I'm saying? We all have the ability to be magical and be inspirational. The reason I play that clip is because that was when he made me watch that full speech. It taught me the duality of I can keep the peace until you give me none. I can maintain peace and order until you give me none. Then I must take peace and order like everybody else has done. When you press people into corners and you don't give people a light at the end of that tunnel, other than sweet nothing conversations and promises of it getting better while we're watching it not get better, you have to understand the storm is only going to continue to brew. I agree with Fitz 100%. This shit may die down in a couple of weeks. But every single time that this happens in this internet era, when the reaction is going to grow larger and larger and larger. So I want America as a whole. I want anybody who's watching this as a whole. Whatever side of the ball you're on, are you ready for that? We have to ask ourselves, like, are we going to, can we say that we're really truly evolved creatures if we're stuck in the fucking Crayola box? When are we going to get the math class? When are we going to get beyond our spectrum and get to being human beings? Because even when we get to, let's say we get this shit all dealt with, right? Racism eradicated. Puff, poof, it's gone. We still got a whole nother problem of dealing with each other as human beings. It is going to take work to maintain being respectable human beings. Whether you want to be black, white, purple, green, mermaid, I don't give a fuck. As long as you care about other people, as long as you care about other people's lives, as long as you care about equity and people's opportunities to empower themselves. So the duality of what, you know, I learned from Martin's life, what I learned from all the rich black families that were, it wasn't just Martin that died. It wasn't just Malcolm that died. They went on an assassination spree of killing all the black powerful families with money. Why? Because that was our power structure. You know, we talk about Black Wall Street as if it's a faint, distant memory in the past and we can't get back there. We absolutely can. You know, I didn't have this ambition. My ambition was to be Nino Brown, but now I want the buildings for a different reason. I want the buildings to rebuild the Black Wall Street. But the caveat is you don't got to be black to be there. You just got to have the right kind of soul and mentality to want to help others, really help them, empower them. You know, I had 20 people on my team. I was doing them no good because I wasn't enabling them, not empowering them. I set them all free, and now they have to empower themselves. Sometimes the journey is a self-walk. So, you know, I don't want to get too deep. I know we're running over a little bit here. I appreciate everybody so much. If you guys got any last words, anything like that, this has been a great episode. And again, you guys are always welcome to come on anytime. We do this Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I might be adding in more days. Screw it. You know what I'm saying? Because I really enjoy this, especially during these times. It's a great way for us to connect. And I gained even more respect for everybody who came on today, because one of the things for me is when we get to the point where I have black brothers and sisters who I can understand your workplace having certain clauses. You can't say certain things like chat, for example. I totally understand. You can't go wild and be like, I'm just going to fucking kill cops tonight, nigga. Now, you can't say no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I appreciate you taking the stance of somebody behind that blue line and showing us that there is another line. Like you said earlier, I appreciate that, because we need more of that. We need more of those posts that you made. We need more of the posts that you made as well, Thorn. And we also need more of us to challenge the status quo of everything, including our own mentality of this hood mentality. We're not mafia heads. We came from Africa. We're from a diaspora. We need to get back, you know, connected with our roots. And we had issues amongst our tribes too, but it was tribal. It's not what this shit is today. You You know, so we got to get back in tune with a lot of the shit that we've lost as a society and trade it for comfort. We've traded a lot of our people are talking about their freedoms being taken away. We've traded majority of our freedoms away for fucking comfort. People are talking about getting microchips in them, and we all carry our phones fucking everywhere. You trust Google? What the fuck are you talking about? At least I'm smart enough to know, or I won't say smart. At least I'm aware enough to know. Because that's another thing I talk about too. This woke versus aware. Step one is being woke and waking up. Step two is staying aware. You got to stay aware of your surroundings and what's going on out here. So I can use my phone guilt free because I know Google's tapped this motherfucker. I know Facebook's tapped this motherfucker. So I'm not sending unsolicited, you know what, pics to my wife and shit. You ain't getting that motherfucker. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm living it with a balance. I have to use the technology because it's at our hands. It's within our. We're doing this right now on the technology. Why? Because it's at our hands. It's a way for us to communicate and balance it. But with all great things, there comes a double-edged sword. This is also ruining people's lives. This is ruining people's livelihoods. It's exposing a lot of the ills in humanity today. We need to be thankful for this shit in a way. That this technology exists, because if we didn't have this shit right now, where would we be with the Trayvon shit? Where would we be with, George Floyd? Where would we be with any of this shit? We might have not felt like we made progress, but we definitely gained more awareness than we ever have. And like Fitz said, and like so many other people said here, I feel a difference in the air. For once in my life, I'm not talking about it from the past tense, and it's probable enough that the people around me who would say racism doesn't exist, which I don't know what the fuck they smoking, now get to see it and can't say shit, because they don't just see us irate about it. They see brothers like Thorn, sisters like Kerry, so many people, Lisa going hard. You know what I'm saying? So many people going hard in the paint for what's right. We can finally evolve and get out of this box and expand who we are as beings of a universe. We can finally do this. We can make a push forward, but we're gonna have to decide violent or peaceful. It's gonna come down to that at the end of the day. I'm done with my little rant, whatever tangent, but you guys, do your one too. I thank you guys so much for being here. This has been absolutely life-changing for me and altering for me. It always is.
Right on, man. My pleasure. Thanks for the invite. New Jack Food available on Amazon. Get yours today. I do beautiful portrait commissions too. Holla!
Oh yeah, I'm coming to that. You already know. I'm waiting behind these sunglasses. You already know.
Just want to talk about that. That's all. But besides that, thank you. And
no, absolutely. After the video, make sure you drop your links on the feed too. We like to make sure everybody drops everything on the actual live video feed. Drop it all on there. This is self-promotion land right here. And Shaq, what you got going on? I appreciate you, girl. I appreciate you.
My program's on hold right now. So for everybody who's out there doing their DIY projects, cleaning out their basements and attics, give me your roller skates. I need them.
Okay.
Absolutely. Pads and stuff too.
Yeah, knee pads, wrist guards, helmets, all kinds of the skate parks. I'll rebuild the skate if I have to. Just send me what they got.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you both so much. This has been, again, you guys are welcome anytime. As you see, like, I'm not about booking people. I'm about asking people, yo, you want to come on and have a conversation? I'm not trying to make it into like this shit is not a talk show to me. This is real life. This is me gaining some knowledge and steel sharpening steel. This is me learning how to agree to disagree. This is me learning how to be a better person. This is really, honestly, like, it's for everybody, but I can tell you in a lot of ways, this is truly self-serving for me to grow and be the leader I feel like people are telling me I can be.
Yo, I mean, I think, so I definitely met you in the winter of 2012. Like, it had to have been the winter of 2012. So I don't know how long you were in New Bedford for, but I can honestly say that I know I've gone on your nerves. I know you've gone on my nerves, and not once have we ever had a heated argument. Not once. So it's always been about growth, about development, about making sure that we help support each other to get to where we need to be as men. Mad respect to you. You're constantly chasing that self-development, and big ups to you. Big ups to Fitz, yo. Every time I talk to you, you're on some spiritual shit. You're on some. I feel like every time
chakra's crazy.
I feel like every time I walk away from this dude, I'm like need to go do some namaste shit or something. I need to relax for a few days. But no, for real, keep doing keep doing the new Deadford series. I'm looking forward to the next one as well as the one that we already have. And keep doing that artwork, man. I'm always interested in your Instagram feed. I'm always double tapping.
Thank you.
Shaq, I don't know much about what you do, but believe it or I don't. I'm sorry, but listen. My whole family, we used to figure skate at Hot Wheels and all that good stuff. Speed skate at Hot Wheels, all that good stuff.
The Hot Wheels tires, Shaq.
Backward skate. I remember having a fresh pair of white Carreras with black wheels. That was my shit. Yeah. So, but that was obviously childhood sizes. I'm gonna see if I can locate those.
No. That's what I need.
She needs the kid sizes. Yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can locate. I'm gonna talk to my two sisters too, because I know we have speed skates somewhere. So I'm gonna see if I can locate something somewhere, and we'll try to get those over to you. I'll connect with Lonelle to connect with you, etc. And Ninah, aren't you supposed to be doing your show?
Unmute yourself, Ninah.
All right.
There you go.
Hi, guys.
Bring it closer just so everybody can hear you.
Yes, I'm actually about to go live like right now.
Okay.
So,
thank you so much. We appreciate you. See you next Friday. It's going to be fun.
Yay.
This was fun. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a blessed weekend.
Later.
Thank you very much.
So I'm gonna get us up out of here, man. I really appreciate everybody throwing. Talk about again what you got going on real quick, and then I'm gonna do a little shameless plug. Y'all already know tomorrow while you're talking, I'm gonna pull it up on the screen. So go ahead, you can start talking, but I'm gonna let people know that we got doodles going on tomorrow. My wife told it down with another installment of the Great Wonderful Doodles program. It's free. It's interactive. It's going to be on Zoom. And just check it out, man. I'll pull this up on the screen so you guys can check it out and get involved.
So as far as it goes with me, those who know me know that I'm a rap artist. I've been doing this for a while. I had my debut album. It's Poetic It. I wrote all the lyrics. I produced all the instrumentals. I engineered all the vocals and sound. This is 100% me. I have one pre-order left. I have about 50 copies of physical copies left after that, but the pre-orders come with, let me see if I can get that to focus, a pin, an exclusive pin of the cover art.
Yeah.
The last one left goes for $10. I have a Cash App. I have Venmo. I've been hand delivering with social distancing so that we're not spreading any viruses. But yeah, man, other than that, it'll be on all streaming services starting on the 5th if everything goes according to plan. And one thing I wanted to touch on before we do go, I'm a huge comic book buff. I know Fitz, you're into graphic novels, you do them, so I'm sure you may have some influence on this, or I mean some intelligence on this. But in the Marvel series, Charles Xavier and Magneto are loosely based on the two different approaches from Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. So if you're interested in paying attention to things like that and mutants and outcasting and stuff like that, that is a very kind of like a medium way to pay attention to what's kind of went on at that time frame between the two different personalities between Malcolm and Martin.
No, that's really good. That's a good parallel right there. Damn. I like
it's crazy. When I learned that, Stan Lee was talking. When I learned that, I was like, what the? Whoa. And it all just, it all made sense. It all made sense.
The two different approaches. So
totally makes sense, yo. Like, yeah, that's, yeah.
So again, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, that's a good tidbit. I was just playing with that in my mind.
Yeah, no. So again, like, once I cannot express my gratitude enough. I'm hoping that we can get more people. Let people know, man. Like, this is the platform to come on, have a good conversation. Shaq with all your girls, all you peoples know. Fit's the same. I'm just looking to get more dialogue with people. This isn't about being Joe Rogan. This is about being the Dinner Club podcast and the Den Show. You know what I'm saying? And just conversing with everyday people. You know what I'm saying? If it turns into a byproduct of it being something bigger because I'm talking about love and harmony on here, then I appreciate that. But I'm not going to go back into sensationalizing bullshit just to get some views. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start talking about how we can actually affect each other's lives in a real palpable way across the board, period. When I first started, and I'll be honest, when I first started, I wasn't sure how I was going to come back in. And then this 6ix9ine shit happened, this COVID shit happened, all this stuff. I said, no, God, the universe has put me in a situation to do more. So I'm just trying to do the best I can, man, with the abilities that I have. I'm not nobody, man. When people compliment me, I thank you, Thorn, you know, everybody else who compliments me, but y'all really like, I'm truly on the road to redemption, and I got plenty of work left to do. I'm not going to be satisfied until I'm in the urn, son. So, you know, I'm just going to keep going and staying focused. I love y'all to death, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna sign you guys off. We'll talk a little bit about colorful yoga, and we'll all get out of here. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Peace.
Later. So, later, Thorn. I'll see you next Friday. So, just to wrap it up real quick, I want to talk about my wife's lovely series that she has going on. Again, I hope you guys appreciated what was happening here today, the dialogue that we're having. I hope you can truly see what we're trying to create here amongst the community and everybody. Because again, this is going to be the best medicine that we could possibly provide to people, which is understanding each other's souls and love and all that other stuff. And I can't take no credit for who I am today in a lot of ways. I can because I did the work, the necessary work. People can always try to guide you. So I did do the work that was needed to make changes, but I can also not take credit for the fact that I'm thankful for the growth that I've had in my wife's biracial family, from, you know, coming in, you know, resistant to having white family members, and then understanding that these people love me, my daughter, and my wife like no other, you know what I'm saying? And the same with the other side of our family and all these other dynamics. I grew up feral in a lot of ways. I didn't have the support system that I needed. I say these things only to let people know, like, you know, you got two choices at the edge. You can fall over it, or you can enjoy the view. And sometimes we just need to step back and enjoy the view and understand the totality of the things that we've overcome and survived in our lives. I've survived a lot. I'm thankful to be here. I'm looking forward to living a long life, you know what I'm saying? But as my man Martin said, that, you know, longevity is not always a certain thing, especially we love longevity, but it's not always a certain thing when you're fighting a certain fight. I've come to terms with certain things in my life. I'm happy with certain places that I'm in my life. I would pray and hope that I would never be put in a situation to lose a family member unjustly, because I don't know how I would respond. I stand for a lot of things. I have lines in the sand. And I'm just very, very intent on the fact that I need more people to have ethics and morals and start using, you know, that logical thinking across the board, whether it be, you know, how you deal with your own homophobia, how you deal with your own, you know, sexism, or your own racism, or your biases. I need us to start acknowledging these things. And I need you to understand that just like addiction and all other things, it's going to be a lifelong process. You're not just going to miraculously wake up one day and have zero biases. Sometimes we don't understand it. You know what I mean? And the fear of not understanding something makes us deny it. And denial is a bad place to be when we're trying to get to somewhere and make progress in life. Again, I appreciate so much everybody being tuned in. If you can get a chance, come on over, go over to virtual Zoom, email doodlesmb@gmail to get your code. Have my wife hit you up tomorrow at 10 a.m. There will be the Colorful Yoga series. It's a super dope time with some super dope, cool kids and, you know, just awesome instructors and everything like that. Here's some Zoom tips. You know, you do not need a Zoom account. It is free, pre-register for security. You know, obviously you don't want to get Zoom bombed, for people who understand being Zoom bombed. Have your art supplies ready, have your yoga area ready, microphones on during art, or you can have them off during microphones on during art and microphones off during yoga. Cameras on being optional. You know what I mean? We're all about respecting privacy. So you can just come to the class, not have your camera on, and just enjoy the yoga and the art and participate in your own way. We might ask you to record or wear something silly if you do want to show yourself, because we're all about having a good time and a fun time. Again, that's tomorrow, 10 a.m. and every Saturday, 10 a.m. And it's going to be virtual until things loosen up. It'll be virtual until further notice. You know what I mean? We're not going to play any games with kids and in the community's life. We're true villages in that regard. So we'd rather be patient than to move head fast into anything and cause anybody any kind of, ill what's tomorrow's theme? It's a little lesson. It's outer space tomorrow. So if you tune in, you definitely want to get down and get a part of this. We're going to do some outer space stuff, get creative with things around the house and make a rocket ship. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good place to be right now, is thinking about our insignificant little selves on this little rock floating through this void, and start getting our kids to understand there's a bigger picture out there, and there's things that we could be chasing more than the paradigm of colors and who we are and where we hail from and all this other stuff. We got to get beyond a lot of that stuff so humanity can really leap into our future and our destiny, and really move forward in the way that's needed most right now and in the future. So again, join us live on Zoom. You can email doodlesnb@gmail.com for full details. I have hit that part of the night where my iced coffee is empty and I'm getting tired. So I love y'all so much. I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. Again, if you want to be a part of any show or anything that we have going on, do not hesitate to reach out and contact us. Everybody is welcome. I can say this is first come, first serve. So if it gets a little inundated and I can't get to you, do not take it any kind of way. Please reach out again. I'm not an important guy, but I am a busy guy. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people can interpret that the wrong way. So please don't interpret me not getting back to you right away or anything is the wrong way. I got a family, a community, a business, and several other entities that I help try to stay on the right path right now, including myself, which takes a lot of work. So I appreciate everybody once again for tuning in. I love you guys. Hope to see you guys on Monday. We are now moving to 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for all of our shows. Give people a clean slate. I use the 640 thing as a little bit of a gimmick to get people going and be like, why 640? So it worked. People are asking, why are you doing it 640? Just to get you intrigued and understand it was a different time frame, but we will be kicking off 7 to 9 p.m. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you're interested in, creating a show with me on the Dinner Club podcast, as far as it being the umbrella, but you have some things you want to talk about, some different interests, and you want to create a show with me, absolutely hit me up, inbox me, we'll make it happen. Again, it's 2 hours and 25-minute mark. I am hungry. I have not eaten dinner, and I'm ready to wrap up the Dinner Club podcast. So again, love you guys. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning into the Den Show. Be here next Friday for Ninah and Thorn. We're going to get busy again, man. This is not a game. We love you. Peace.
They love the music, they love the swag, they love the life, and they kill our ass. They love the drip, they love the lingo, they love the hate, and they gun us down. We love to live, we love to give. We fight for this, and they still get mad. We started late, cost twice the stakes. All the fears we face, and we still get bagged. They love the music, they love the swag, they love the life, and they kill our ass. They love the drip, they love